the smugness of Tom Brady. I really don't know, but they really don't like the New England Patriots, and that's something that has always baffled me. But joining us right now on the line is just, this guy is, to me, the hardest working guy in LA. This guy does so much. He is the big vanilla funny, the host of the Gridiron Grind and Unsportsmanlike Conduct. Absolutely love this gentleman, Mr. VJ Wright. VJ, what is going on, sir?
Wow, 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 wow. What up, Dave? You know what time it is when I come on and I do the wow, 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 wow. You know what time it is, bro. Yeah. It's showtime. What's up, baby?
I'll tell you what, man. Things are great. I'll tell you what. You want to know how fired up I was for this show this morning, VJ? I got up, and as I was prepping for everything, I'm listening to the NWO. Yes, sir. I had that thing on loop all day. And I'm telling you, man, all I could see here, I seriously went to the back, and I was like, dude, where's my NWO shirt and hat? I just got to put it on.
Oh, man, that was... I think the NWO theme might be the dopest wrestling theme music of all time. I would put it up there with DX. I would put it up there with Cults of Personality.
Yep.
I would put it up there with Triple H's Evolution. I thought Evolution had a really. Yeah. I thought Arrowhead. I forget the name of the damn group, man. Motorhead. I thought they did a great job with that, man. But no, I'm just excited, bro. That's why I sent you the text like, hey, bro, we show it. We show today. Simple text. Show today. That's all I need to know.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. No, it was, I'll tell you what, like I said, let's switch gears here. We're doing NFL today, but you mentioned that some of the top wrestling things that there are. One of the ones for me that's really kind of grown on me as a little underrated, I think, is Chris Jericho's Break the Walls Down. That, ever since his debut in the WWE, you hear that and it just goes. It just pops.
Yeah.
And that's another one.
They changed it too many times, though. It's like Stone Cold. Like Stone Cold Steve Austin had a super dope one, too, but they changed it like 3 or 4 times. Like The Rocks. The Rocks was cool at a point. Then it just they keep trying to change it around. I like it when they just keep it original, keep it fresh, keep it just same the whole time. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, and I'm talking about the original, because I thought the original, like, when you think about his debut in the WWE and the way that they did it with the whole countdown with the Titantron, and it fit. Everything was good, and then the lights go out, and then the Titantron hits, and you're like, oh, crap.
Yeah.
And then you hear the music. I was like, that was pretty dope, absolutely. So, yeah, quick little sidebar. Yes, if you don't know, ladies and gentlemen, we are wrestling fans. I'm not ashamed of it, and yes, I will listen to it on loop. And you know what, VJ, one other one that gets overlooked a lot that I really like is the old ECW theme.
Oh, hell yeah.
Theme from ECW.
Hell yeah.
That theme, I absolutely love that theme. One of my absolute favorites, and it just hits on every level. I absolutely love it.
Absolutely, I'm with you on that one. That old ECW theme was ill too, man. I agree with you.
Oh yeah. No, we could do a whole show on wrestling themes.
Of course, we have done. I mean, we've done wrestling shows before. That's nothing for us, bro.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
We can do top 10 lists of everything in wrestling. It would take 3 or 4 hours.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
All right, BJ. So I already kind of talked about the Rams a little bit, but I know you had a lot to say on the Rams, so I'm going to turn it over to you. Give me your Rams.
I just don't believe in the Rams. I don't believe in the Rams. I don't believe in the Chiefs. The Patriots, to me, are the only staple in the NFL that you just sound foolish at this point. If you just don't believe in the Patriots, it's like not believing in the Spurs for 15 years, not believing in Lakers and Celtics in the 80s, not believing in Kobe and Shaq, Mike and Scotty. I mean, there's just certain teams you just sound foolish at a point when they just done it so long. Until they don't do it, you have to ride with that. But the Rams, the injuries, as I told you about maybe about 3 or 4 weeks ago, the last time we were on air together, I thought the injuries happen in football. That's just the bottom line. No team is immune from it. It's how you play through them and who you have to replace the injured players. And when Talib went down, Peters banged up. Now you have Brandon Cooks get a concussion. Now Cooper Kupp could be out for a little while. They said they're calling him day to day, but the guy was carted off. So I don't know how you get carted off and it turns into day to day. I haven't seen that a lot in the NFL. The defense, now it is Denver, but prior to the Denver game, that defense gave up 30 points in back-to-back games. And this is supposed to be the best defense in football. I know the rules are kind of bending towards they're bending more towards offense. I get it. But great defenses still will show up and play. The Baltimore Ravens are showing that and proving that to anybody. Make all the rule changes you want. This is our culture. I talk about culture a lot. I believe in culture in sports, especially in football, because it's such a physical game. It's such a gladiator sport. It's a man's body-on-body physical game. So I believe in culture, and I just think the Rams' culture was, let's win now. Let's get these high, these big name free agents in. And I understand they're undefeated, and I understand they're in first place. They're in a crap division. Let's just call it what it is. They're in a crap division. San Francisco, no good. Seattle, no good. And I'm missing one. I'm sorry, bro. And the Cardinals, good.
They're the Cardinals. Yep.
Yeah, so listen, they're winning. I get it, but the Rams to me have always been, since the beginning of the season, in my eyes, January team. I don't care what September and October shows. I don't care what November shows. Show me late December and show me in January. Because last year, same team, number one scoring offense in the league, Goff, Gurley, all these weapons, great defense, number one defense in football, or number two defense behind the Jaguars last year, and you go into a home playoff game, and people knock Matty Ice and the Falcons all the time, but they went on the road and won a playoff game last year where that offense couldn't score. They couldn't move the ball against Atlanta and couldn't score. So, a good win this weekend it's Denver. Denver's no good. So that's my take on the Rams. I'll wait and see what they do. But I don't believe in them, and I'll stand on that right now. I'll stand on all the way to the Super Bowl, Luis. If they make it to the Super Bowl, I'll still say, okay, they got to win the game to get me to believe in them. I'm just going to be that guy with the Rams this year.
Well, it's funny, you mentioned it, and I mentioned it too. It's really interesting to me that, the defense really kind of went way down when Talib got hurt. Peters got hurt, but he's been playing. But here's my issue with it. Is we saw it in week 1 with the Oakland Raiders and Jared Cook. Jared Cook went off for 180 yards as a tight end. This is a Raiders offense that's been putrid all year long. And in game 1, they exposed you in the linebacking area for 180 yards to the tight end. And that has not been corrected. If they don't correct that, it doesn't matter who they play. They're going to get bounced early in the playoffs.
Well, they give up 344 yards a game through the air. That's a problem. They're giving up 20 points a game. Now, 20 ain't bad when you're the league leader in offensive yards and total offense. So 20 is not bad when you're averaging 31. I get that. That's why they are undefeated. I totally understand that. But they're on pace They're on pace for more yards than they given up last year, more points than they given up last year, more passing yards than they given up last year. They're averaging giving up 18 first downs a game to their opponent. So, and league leaders 15. So it's a 3 first down difference. But last year they were around like 13 first downs a game. So there's 5 more first downs this year. That's a potential for 21 to 30 extra points that you could be giving up, which they're not going to, because like I said, the division sucks. I mean, if you look at even Seattle's defense, they're giving up 326 through the air game. They don't have the same Legion of Boom defense secondary. But when I do look at the Rams, like I said, offense, not a problem. Not a problem at all. But on any bad offensive day, and we've seen this, and same thing's going to happen with the Patriots, and the same thing's going to happen with the Chiefs. That game the other night was a magnificent football game. But if there's a takeaway, it's not Brady, it's not Mahomes, it's 43-40 is my takeaway. Neither one of you can stop anybody.
Absolutely.
And on any given Sunday, just like the great movie by Oliver Stone, on any given Sunday, you can be beat if you cannot produce on offense, because we see you can't stop anybody on defense.
Oh, absolutely. And if you can't stop anybody on defense, you've got to be able to have get that one stop you need a game. And if you can't do it, it's going to come down to who has the ball last. And you're talking about, again, a 43-40 game. Let's talk about that game a little bit. That was a game that a lot of people were really anxious to see. They wanted to see Patrick Mahomes go on the road in a hostile environment and against a good team. And the Patriots, like you said, they are the Spurs of the NFL. And I don't get all the hate with the Patriots. And let me tell you why. Because, yes, they've been winning and they're constantly there, but you have teams in every sport that are always there at the end. I mentioned the Steelers a little while ago. They're always there. The Spurs you mentioned before. There are teams that are just good. They have good front offices. They draft well. People buy into the scheme that the organization has. And for whatever reason, the Patriots, and I would even say like the Red Sox, are the two teams that really get the most, and the Yankees, get the most hate, I feel, in sports for succeeding. Now, I'll be the first one to admit it. I am not a Red Sox fan. I could care less about the Red Sox. Every time they lose, I'm a happy guy. But that being said, the Patriots are a team, they seem to do the right way, but there's all this hate to them, which baffles me because you don't see that level of hate to other successful teams like you do with the Steelers. Just a little, my little sidebar there. But I thought the game itself was fun. It was exciting. But like you said, no defense. So you see Mahomes, he has a pretty good game. You see, it was just kind of back and forth, but you're waiting for that somebody to have a big stop. Yes, Mahomes had 2 interceptions, but he still threw for 352 and 4 touchdowns. I mean, that's still a good game.
Yeah, it's a great game. And I'll add to the teams that hate because when they win, people hate Michigan when they win, Ohio State when they win, Duke when they win, Carolina basketball when they win. So those are other teams too that receive that hate. But back to the game, but to the game. I mean, what was a very telling thing to me too is when they scored late on with the awesome play by Tyreek Hill. Another quick sidebar. I'm not understanding why that guy's not being discussed as one of the best, if not the best receiver in football this year. I understand AB's done his thing over time.
Absolutely.
I understand Julio's done his thing over time. Odell, I get it. But, we're in a now business. The NFL is a now business. Nobody cares about last year. Nobody cares about 2 years ago. Nobody cares about last week. It's always on to the next week and on to the next game because you only get 16 of them in the season. And that's why the season is so important. But I'm trying to figure out why he's not being discussed as the best receiver in football. But when Tyreek Hill scored on that 75-yard play, Tom Brady even said it in the postgame. Good. Scored early. We have enough time. He knew he could go back down the field. He already had 30-something points on the board. So he already knew he could go back down the field. And I'm pretty sure when they scored late, Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid and those guys said, okay, we got time. We're going to go down and score because we got 30-something points on the board too. So, I mean, they scored 31 points in 2 quarters on that New England defense. So, the game overall, like I said, was great. Everybody's talking about on Sports Talk Radio and Sports Talk TV yesterday, it's all about Mahomes and Brady. And Skip Bayless was the only one real enough to come out and go, you guys are just going to dismiss both these defenses? We're not going to talk about 43-40? Like, there's a problem there, and I'm telling people right now, it will rear its ugly head late in the year or in the playoffs. When your quarterback happens to be off, and let's go back to the injury bug. If any of those star players on either one of those offenses go down, we saw what New England was without Edelman. We saw what they were. They could not move the football. Gronk was getting double teamed. Gronk's got a bad ankle. It's going to bother him all year. I twisted my ankle Friday night. It's Tuesday. My ankle's still sore. It's going to bother him all year long. He's going to be in spots where he just makes big plays like he did Monday night. One catch into the fourth quarter. The 2 biggest pass plays in the fourth quarter both went to Gronk for first downs and sealed the game. So he'll be there for that. But if Tariq or Hunt or even, Lord forbid, or Mahomes or Brady goes down, their teams are done because they can't sustain stopping anybody on defense, and that's something that's going to be needed. People talk about the Cowboys, and everybody loves the crap on the Cowboys, but I'm looking at the 4th-ranked defense in football. They're going to be able to withstand some of Dak's bad days because their defense plays so well. Baltimore's going to be able to withstand Flacco's bad days because their defense plays so well. Even the Redskins, and I know their schedule hasn't been daunting, but they have the 5th-ranked defense in the NFL. So they're going to be able to sustain some bad offensive Sundays because their defense is going to keep them in games. And I think Kansas City and New England both lack that, and I think we're not paying attention to it. And we just saw it in the Super Bowl. Tom Brady threw for 500 yards, and they lost because they could not stop Philly.
Absolutely. And Philadelphia, in the Super Bowl, they didn't get a lot of stops, but they got the one stop that they needed, and that was the difference in the game. Let me ask you a question about the Patriots. have they finally found a running back in Sony Michel?
Absolutely. That's not a question. I saw that on draft day. I tweeted about that on draft day. And let me tell you something else. Georgia's about to turn into running back because if you look at the two guys they got there, they got Evander Holyfield's son who just runs angry.
Yep.
And they got two backs there right now. And they had two backs last year. I'm trying to figure out why Cleveland hasn't said, okay, Carlos Hyde, you take some less carries. We got to get Nick Chubb some carries here. We got to get the ball into this guy. You drafted him where you drafted him for a reason. He ran through the SEC like he ran through the SEC for a reason because he's a really good back, and they have a good offensive line there in Cleveland. But Sonny Michel, man, this guy, he gets it. He understands the holes, and that's the type of back he is. You have to create the hole because once he sees it, boom, he's gone. He shoots right through that hole. And when I watch him run, you know what he reminds me of? He reminds me of Corey Dillon. He reminds me of Corey Dillon the way that he just kind of finds the hole, explodes, low center of gravity, always leaning forward. First guy's never going to take him down. Quiet guy, just give him the ball. I think when you think about it, I thought when the Patriots got him back in the day and Cincinnati jet setted him off and everybody said he was done, it's like, dude, he's not done. He's just tired of Cincinnati. And he goes to New England, he runs for like 1,300 one year, 1,400 the next year. I mean, Sonny Michel, you could be looking at a 1,400 yard back, and it takes pressure off of Brady having to win, so many games. But once again, the defense is going to have to stand up. But to answer your question, yes, they have found the running back who's going to be the bell cow back. And you see Deion Lewis is gone this year. I hate to say it, James White will be the next back that'll leave New England because Sonny Michel is going to start to get all the carries.
No doubt. I wanted to get your opinion on because I love the Sonny Michel. I think he's going to do a fantastic job, and like you said, finally take some pressure off of Brady and the receiving corps to give them somebody that can get the tough yards and can be a feature back there that they haven't had since Corey Dillon. And this is the thing that really gets me when you look at the New England Patriots over the last 18, 19 years is they've done it with very few true all-pros. If you really think about in the specialty positions, they had Corey Dillon for a couple of years. They had Randy Moss for 1 year. But they made all-pros out of guys like Deion Branch, Troy Brown, Julian Edelman, Wes Welker, who was a cast-off up until he got to New England. Danny Amendola. He was a cast-off from the St. Louis Rams and then gets to New England. All of a sudden, he's a viable part of their offense. So they make their money by making guys who are cast-offs, mediocre, look like all pros in that offense. And to me, that's a testament of Belichick and of Brady as well, because people don't talk about that as much. These guys, you remember Deion Branch, he goes off to Seattle, all of a sudden, he couldn't get open or catch a pass anywhere. He got shipped back to New England pretty quick.
And that's also a testament to just coaching and culture, the two C's that matter the most in sports, other than consistency and camaraderie. Those are the four C's that I live by in sports. And the Patriots do the best job at having everybody prepared as much as possible for the talent that they have for just about every single situation that they're going to come across. And I'll even go a little further. The roughing the passer call that's kind of been out of hand, but we've seen it kind of reel back over the last few weeks. You know the one team that hasn't had a problem with it? Guess what, folks? It's the New England Patriots. They coach their guys well. Yep. When's their last roughing the passer call? And we've seen these things at an all-time high. Exactly. It's coaching. And you're right. They get players, and they make players out of guys that have been cast-offs. A lot of it has to do because Kraft wants to be super rich than he already is, and he's not paying anybody but Brady and maybe one or two other guys. They're not going to have a bunch of guys paid on their roster. We've seen what that's happened to Seattle. We saw it with Baltimore after they won their Super Bowls. We've seen it with the Dallas Cowboys over years. We've seen it with a lot of my Miami Dolphins have overspent for guys. We could talk about Ndamukong Suh. We could talk about Mike Wallace. The Giants, we see it now. They're giving Odell his money. They're sitting at 1-5. So giving Odell his money, now he's talking talking more about Eli. Now he's kind of living out of pocket a little more. Now he's got his money, and you're sitting at 1-5. The Patriots just do the best job at having everybody prepared. And the reason why people don't want to bring it up is because it goes in favor of the GOAT conversation of quarterback for Tom Brady. Because for as great as Montana was, as for as great as Elway was, and any other quarterback you want to throw up there, only Brady and Marino, in my opinion, in the top 5 to 10 quarterbacks you're going to name, pretty much had to do it with duct tape, a stick of gum, a juice box, some flip-flops, and a Doritos bag, okay? Let's not act like that these guys are, like you said, they're all pro Hall of Fame guys. I love Clayton. I love Duper. Neither one of them are going to sniff the Hall of Fame. Dolphins had a pretty good offensive line, but Richmond Webb, that left tackle that was there for all those years, they're not going to put him in a Hall of Fame. Dan Marino had 1,000 yard back. He was 1,002 yards. If you remember, you're a Bruin fan. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, the running back out of UCLA, got drafted by the Dolphins by Jimmy Johnson. He had one 1,000 yard year, and it was 1,002 yards. That's the only 1,000 yard back Marino ever had. Tom Brady, you just named all the guys. Yeah, you have Gronk, but let's not act like Gronk plays 16 games a year. Let's not act like Gronk isn't hobbled most of the season. Let's not act like Gronk hasn't missed 11 games one year, 6 games another year, 7 games another year. Let's not act like that he's out of all these guys. Montana, Rice, Roger Craig. Roger Craig was the first 1,000 back in NFL history. Tom Rathman's a Hall of Fame fullback. You had John Taylor called a game-winning touchdown pass and was a great compliment to Jerry Rice. And then flip it over to the defense, and there's Hall of Famers all over the damn defense there. So there's plenty of people who have been sent up to New England that other teams casted off. And like you said, they don't even John Elway. John Elway, he was getting to the Super Bowl and he was getting deep in the playoffs. But he wasn't a favorite until Terrell Davis showed up and started running for 2,000 yards.
Absolutely. And even in the first one that they won against Green Bay, they were an underdog going in. Nobody thought they were going to win that game. Or let me rephrase that. Very few people thought they were going to win that game because Green Bay's offense was so good at the time. But they were able to control the ball on the ground. And Elway did what Elway does and then some. But don't forget, I think it was Terrell Davis, at least in the first one, was the Super Bowl MVP.
Yeah, he was the Super Bowl MVP.
It tells you how much they needed. Yeah, so he needed a guy like Terrell Davis in order to get that Super Bowl. You mentioned Gronk, and he's absolutely always he's hurt. He's going to miss 2, 3, 4 games a year. We all know this going into it. But one of the things that came out of the recently was that they actually had a trade for him in the offseason. We're set to send him to the Detroit Lions. And he said, if you send me, I'm going to retire. That just kind of tells you how that machine over there in New England works. They would rather get rid of you a year or two early than hold on to you a minute late. And it looked like they were trying to do that with Gronk this offseason.
That's the rule of thumb in the sports, man. You got to get rid of a guy a year earlier than you should, than a year or two later. We've seen it set back the Celtics. Danny Ainge and the Celtics brass, they've always said that they held on to Bird and McHale and Parrish and those guys too long, and it set that franchise back, 12, 15 years. Not only that, if they never pull off the draft day trade almost 20 years later. Now remember, Bird's last year, I want to say, was 91, 92, 93, somewhere in that range.
Something like that.
Yeah, they weren't viable again until they pulled off the draft day trade to get Jesus Shuttlesworth, Ray Allen, and Kevin Garnett. And then Ainge has been able to finagle these first-round picks into some great young players, and now they're back. But I mean, if you want to do the math, that's plus 20 years that the Celtics were just kind of a team out in the East that was going to finish in 3rd, 4th, or 5th, or maybe 6th, maybe win a first-round series or get eliminated in the first round, and that was just going to be, that was going to be the end. People also have to remember, I think they won 26 games the year before they got Ray Allen and Kevin Garnett. So, they were at the bottom of the barrel even then. So, you're right. You gotta get rid of guys a year early than a year late, and I think that they're seeing that. And they tried it with Brady. Belichick tried it with Brady. As much as they want to deny it, they tried it with Brady, but Brady is Kraft's surrogate son, and Kraft went to Bill Belichick as the GM and said, You're moving Garoppolo. He's not replacing Brady. We're not getting rid of Brady, which seemed to be the right move now. But, Brady's the only guy that's untouchable in New England. New England will definitely get rid of anybody a year early. We saw it with we saw it with Seymour. We saw it with Ty Law. Remember Lawyer Malloy? Remember the Lawyer Malloy cut like 2 days before opening day? They go to Buffalo, they get blown out, and everybody's like, see. They right the ship, they go win the Super Bowl that year. And they never look back.
Yep. It's funny how winning cures everything, doesn't it?
Winning cures everything in sports. When you're winning and you just know how to celebrate. That's another thing, Luis. Teams nowadays don't know how to win, and so that's why Golden State's going to win again. You know why? They win, and they are quietly, maybe other than Draymond, they are quietly going to the offseason. You hear anything from Steph over the summer? No. You hear anything from Kerr over the summer? No. You hear anything from Clay over the summer? No. Durant's going to get into some Twitter shit. That's just because that's who Durant is. But the stars, they stay quiet. Seattle wins. Chancellor starts talking. Russell Wilson starts talking. Now he's dating Sierra. Then they're married. Now he's got a baby. Now he's in Twitter beef with Future. Now he's all over red carpets. Sherman starts talking. Earl Thomas starts talking. Marshawn Lynch starts talking. Everybody starts running their mouth. And next thing you know, everybody wants money. Next thing you know, you get a few guys get hurt. You send some guys away, and now you look at their team, and like I said, only because they're in the crap division that they're even at 3-3, I believe, is their record at a 500 team. It's the only reason why they're even sitting at that record of 4-2. They may be 4-2 or 3-3. I have to look it up, but they're not going to be viable for the playoffs or anything. Winning cures everything, but when you win and you stay quiet, the Patriots win the Super Bowl. Other than Gronk, do you hear anything from those guys? Any receiver, any defensive back, any linebacker?
No.
Nothing. Nothing. They celebrated for about a month. They get back to work. Simple as that.
Yeah, exactly. And that's one of the things that when you have a winning franchise, like you said, they know what to do. They know how to prepare. It's not like teams winning for the first time and say, oh, they're going to go out here, go out there. And let's be clear. You should celebrate. You win a championship on a professional level at any level, or at a professional level in any industry, any sport. You should celebrate it. But that being said, you're not going to celebrate a month, 2 months, 3 months.
No.
You're going to celebrate for a day, maybe 2 days. Do your parade, maybe even a week. After that, take a week off, let your body recuperate, and then it's back to work. Then let's start looking at film. How can I improve? Start planning your off season. Yeah, you might take a vacation with your family here and there, and I get it. You should. You absolutely need it. But you still got to kind of be, okay, where can I get better? Because an old adage, someone that told me something a long time ago, and it's something that I still kind of live by today, is somewhere out there, somebody could be working harder than you. And are you working harder than that person to make sure that they don't? And that's something that I absolutely keep in the back of my head every day. Because if you're not getting better, you may not necessarily be getting worse, but that gap for the person behind you is closing if you're not outworking them.
Yep.
And that's something that my mentality is. And I think if you're a professional athlete, your time is so limited that you get to play pro sports. Now, Tom Brady's been doing it almost 20 years, and that's kind of an anomaly. You don't see that a lot. I think the shelf life for a running back is like 3 years. Wide receivers, maybe 7 or 8. So your shelf life is really, really small. So you got to make the most of it. I get you. You're going to have the money. You're going to have the fame. You're going to want to go out and do the certain things. But don't forget, it's a short shelf life. And if you get injured, it's worse. So you better make sure that you're working hard every chance you get. Because if you don't, that's where somebody else is going to pass you up. Just something that I was told as a youngster, and I still live by it to this day.
No, absolutely.
And I will give credit to that man.
I give a championship 30 days.
I don't mean...
No. I just wanted to throw that. I give a championship celebration. I give you 30 days. 30 days, because you're gonna do Conan. You're going to do The Daily Show. You're going to do Good Morning America. Different players are going to go with their endorsements. Like if you got Under Armour and they got an event coming up, you got to go to that. If you're with the Divas, they got an event coming up 3 weeks after the Super Bowl, you got to go to that. You just won the Super Bowl and you got a contract with Adidas. I give you 30 solid days. NBA, Major League Baseball, World Series, Finals, Super Bowl, NHL. You got 30 days. At 30, and that's for vacation, family, interviews, endorsement appearances, marketing, promotions, late night talk shows, partying, clubbing, messing with the groupies, hanging with your boy, whatever. 30 days to fit all of that in, and then get back to work. I give you, and I think that's cool. Like a day or two. Now, if you still want to go train and go to the gym, that's cool. But enjoy it, because it's hard to do. It's hard to come by. To me, the hardest thing in all of sports, the number one thing in all of sports, is to win an NFL game on a Sunday. Let alone win enough out of 16 to get to the playoffs, and then have to either win 2 or 3 to get to the Super Bowl, and then prepare for 2 weeks, and then go out and win the Super Bowl. There's nothing harder in any sport than to do that. And that's why I think you get your 30. Yeah, you get your 30 days, and then it's time to get back to work. Some teams just know how to do it, man. I thought the Lakers did a great job with Kobe and Shaq at doing it. Shaq wanted to party and have fun, and knew he could come back and get into shape when he wanted to. Kobe was a workaholic, so he was always going to be in the gym. And I thought teams like that. I think Golden State does a great job at it. I thought the Yankees did a great job at it under Joe Torre. Celebrate. Let's get back to work. Let's go, because now there's a difference in winning and then being complacent, and then winning, and then understanding now that I'm the champion, it's harder. The games are harder. Everybody plays you harder. Like the worst team in the NBA, let's say Orlando, right? Orlando's probably one of the bottom dwellers in the NBA, right?
Sure.
Out of the 2 times they played Golden State this year, though, they'll be in a game all the way into the fourth quarter with Golden State. Why? Because it's Golden State. But then they'll turn around and they'll go to Detroit and they'll lose by 15.
Yes.
So,
absolutely.
Yeah, when you're the champion, everybody comes at you, and it's harder, and it takes a special athlete, in my opinion, and a special mindset. It's just like the work you do, the work I do. I have a great comedy show, or I write my first short film, and we get it shot, it gets out. I can either just sit and go, yeah, I'm good. I got my film into the Black Film Festival in Miami, and I was on the red carpet, and I met all these people, or I can enjoy it for the weekend, bring my butt back home, get back on the computer and say, okay, now that's got some notoriety and some people liked it, now I need to do better. I don't want to just be a nominated for an award. Next year, I want to win a damn award. And then when I win that award, I want to win that award again, and then I want to add another one to it. Some people are just wired that way.
Right. Absolutely. No, I agree. When I first started in the media, I was working on a show. This was probably seven years ago or so. And one of the guys used to make a joke out of it. Okay, let's go win an Emmy today. That's what he would say. And our show was not a great show. It was not on a big network. But that was kind of his little joke. And I turned to him one day and I looked at him and I said, I know you're making a joke about it, but why? Why can't we go win an Emmy today? And that was my attitude, and it's been my attitude ever since then. Because, look, you may not be, at one of the big dogs. You might not be working for ABC, CBS, or Fox, or whatnot. But why can't you aspire to be at that level? Same thing in sports. You might be the Orlando Magic. You might be the Oakland Raiders right now. But you should be aspiring to be the New England Patriots, the San Antonio Spurs, the Celtics, the Lakers, the Yankees. Those are where you should be aspiring to go. And you need to work at it as an organization, as a player, as a front office. Everyone should be aspiring to get to that point. And if you're not, to me, you're doing it wrong.
Yep. I'm with you, buddy.
So that again, and just I want to give credit to that quote that I mentioned a little while ago. That was told to me by my late great father, Louis Estradas Sr., who I miss. He's been gone for 5 years now. I love him and miss him every day. But a lot of the things that he told me and taught me has stayed with me over the years. And as my only regret, VJ, and I've told you this before, my only regret is that my career took off after he passed, because I wish he could have been here to see it and to enjoy it. Because outside of my wife and my daughter, he was probably my biggest supporter. And that was something that I wish I could have given to him while he was still here.
You're giving it to him, bro. He trust me. He sees it, man. He sees it. We just don't know he sees it, or he's not here physically to see it. But Trust me, man. If he loved you like I know he did, and I talk about you and your dad a lot, and about your Dodger games and Laker games and Bruin games growing up, trust me, he's up there sitting on his lazy boy, laid back, man, drinking whatever he wants to drink and having a good time watching you, bro. So, you're doing a great. He sees you, brother.
And you can hear my dog in the background. She's agreeing with you.
Yeah. Tell her we're on air. She's got to chill.
Oh yeah, no, it's a little bit windy out here. She doesn't like the wind, so she's having a hard time. But she likes to contribute every chance she gets too.
Yeah, I hear her, man. What else you got on the docket, brother? What else are we tossing around today?
I'll tell you what, man. We got to talk about your Miami Dolphins, man. I'll tell you what, that was a great game. That was a great game. Now, are they at New England's level? That I don't know yet, but. I'm going to tell you, I really enjoyed that game between them and the Chicago Bears. I thought it was a coming out party for Albert Wilson. He kind of showed a lot of what he could potentially become for that offense. I wasn't really impressed with Brock Osweiler just because I'm not. I don't think he's that good of a quarterback. But he did throw up 380 and 3 touchdowns, did have the 2 picks. But it was a win I thought you guys needed. It was a gritty win against a good Chicago Bears defense. At home, you needed the boost, and you got it. I was really impressed with that.
You're probably going to be like, what? Yeah, I'm going to go this route with my Dolphins because I got to keep it real, man, and I got to just call it the way I see it. Number one, I thought we were lucky to win the game. Because I've seen us drop games like the week before against Cincinnati. I mean, you want to talk about games. The previous game against Cincinnati, Miami, I'll say it like this. My beloved lifelong Dolphins should be 5-1, but we're lucky to be 4-2, if that makes any sense. We should be 5-1.
Yeah, no, I got you.
But we're lucky to be 4-2. I'm trying to figure out why Adam Gase decides. Now, I like Frank Gore. Always have. 15 carries, 101 yards. I get it. But all the talk we've heard about Kenyon Drake over the last year and a half, and what we know about Kenyon Drake from Alabama, and I know people's going to say he couldn't even start at Alabama. Well, tell me what any of those Alabama backs are in the league doing that he was sitting behind. 2 of them aren't even getting any burn. One of them is not even in the... Bo Scarborough's not even in the league. He's on a practice squad somewhere. He's not even on an active roster. So, yeah, he sat behind some guys. But just tell me what those guys are doing on this level in the NFL other than Mark Ingram. And he got popped for PED. So we know he's a cheater. So I don't even know if he counts. But I'm trying to figure out why we still throw way more than we pass. And I ranted about this about a week ago on another show. I really hate the offenses in the NFL now. I'm the old guy at the barbershop. I'm the old guy sitting on the crate at the corner liquor store telling young boys, y'all don't know about football, this football today. And I'm going to tell you why. And I got a perfect few examples if you give me 2 minutes here real quick. You are starting to see star running backs and the best running backs in football not want to show up for camp. Because owners believe now they don't need them. They think they can win with running back by committee. Last year, David Johnson, no show. Last year, Le'Veon Bell, no show. This year, Le'Veon Bell, no show. The best backs in football are starting to say, okay, if you don't want to pay, Todd Gurley was going to be a no-show if they didn't give him his money. We saw Aaron Donald was a no-show until they gave him his money.
Yep.
There's this belief. It's almost like the three-point shot in the NBA. There's this belief that you need more passes than runs to win a football game. But what people don't realize, and I'll break this down, when you pass more than you run, you have the opportunity of you have the situation where you put your defense on the field a lot more. Because, of course, there's more incomplete passes than there are complete passes. Incomplete passes stop the clock, which means that there's more time left in the game, which means games are longer, which means your defense is on the field longer. That's why if you go look at defensive stats, almost every defense in the league right now is giving up over 300 passing yards a game. Every single defense but Baltimore is giving up over 300 passing yards a game. But if you want to go on the flip side and you look at the NFL rusher, go look at the rushing leaders. It's almost embarrassing. And I don't understand why Gase is played right into this. Kenya Drake gets 13 carries for 57 yards. That's 4.5 yards a carry. This is the first good game Gore's had. And then even with the receiving core, I understand the Danny Amendola pick, but I don't like it. He gets 11 targets. How is he getting more targets than Kenny Stills? Kenny Stills is your best receiver. Kenny Stills had 2 targets. He had 1 catch for 35 yards. 1 catch. You're targeting your running back more than you're targeting your number 1 receiver. I love the defense. I know they're ranked 22nd in the league right now, but they lead the league in interceptions. Xavier Howard is one of the young up-and-coming corners, shutdown stars in the league. Rashad Jones and Mika Fitzpatrick and McDonald, all those guys on the back end, that might be the best secondary. That might be the best complete secondary in football. Now, we can get Lippett healthy, and we can figure out what's wrong with Tankersley, because McTire, he's a practice squad player. I had no idea why it took so long for them to bench him on Sunday and pull him out, because they explicitly threw at him almost on every single passing play for an entire quarter. At some point as a coach, you have to see that defensive coordinator, Matt Burke, you have to see that and change that. But to sum it all up, I'm happy they're 5-2. They have Detroit coming in. 4-2. They have Detroit coming in. I believe that could put them at 5-2. And then that pretty much sets them up for a wild card playoff position. Are they the Patriots? No. Why? They don't have Tom Brady. The Patriots have Tom Brady. Nobody else does. Green Bay has Aaron Rodgers. Nobody else does. That's just the way the NFL goes. It goes towards quarterbacks. But I'll end on this, and you've never heard me say this before. I'm starting to listen and believe what people are saying about Ryan Tannehill. I've defended Ryan Tannehill. I've talked about the offensive line. I've talked about the weapons. I've talked about the running game. But when I watch a game like I did a few weeks ago, and Miami is dominating that game on the road in Cincinnati, mind you, for the second time in the last 3 seasons, they've gone up there and have been up 17-0 and 21-3 and lost both those games because Ryan Tannehill decided that he would just start throwing the ball around when he's getting pulled to the ground. Let me just throw it into the arms of a defensive lineman, runs it for a touchdown. Let me not take the sack and let me try to fight out of this. Ball security, fumbles the ball, they pick it up and run it in. He gave up 14 points in the span of 3.5 minutes, and then that was the game. And then after a while, the defense just caves in. The Dolphins, I am on record now saying this offseason, they need 3 things. They need to go ahead and find their future quarterback, whether through draft, or whether through free agency, or whether through trade. They need to find a big-time dominant linebacker, a franchise defensive playing linebacker who can change your defense just by the day he shows up. They need to find that, and they need to find a 20-carry bell cow running back, and they'll be fine for the next 2 to 4 seasons. That has to be the mark for next year. I think it might be time to shut the door on the Tannehill story, because when I watch games, I like to look into players' eyes. And when I look into Tannehill's eyes, I just don't see it. I don't see the it factor. I don't see that he's got the confidence and he talks a good game and he's a nice guy and his wife is very involved in South Florida and the pictures of him and his son at training camp are really cute and cool. I get all that. But at the end of the day, man, it's X's and O's, Sundays, and scoreboard. That's what matters the most. And I just don't see the future with him because he doesn't have ball security, and I think that's the move they need to make. And that's how I feel about the Dolphins right now, man. I'm not high on my boys right now. I'm happy about them, but if you ask me about the future, Tannehill's the guy, and if Drake's your bell cow back, Frank Gore's done after this year or maybe next year. And linebacker, we still cannot stop the run. Kiko Alonso is not a franchise linebacker. He's a really good kind of do everything linebacker, but we need a Brian Urlacher. We need a Ray Lewis. We need a Terrell Suggs. We need a Luke Kuechly, a guy that shows up from the minute you call his name on draft day, and he changes the front 7 of your defense. We don't have that, and we need it.
But I'll tell you what you need. You need a Zach Thomas. That's what you need.
Yeah.
A Zach Thomas.
Yeah.
Like you said. You need a guy that that can be, where I would prefer draft, a guy you could home grow and really become beloved in the community with Miami and become the face of that franchise. I don't think you have that.
No.
I think they tried with Javaris Landry. That didn't work. They tried with Devontae Parker. That didn't work. They tried with Tannehill. That hasn't really worked. They haven't had an identity, and they haven't had a face of the franchise probably since Zach Thomas left, since he retired. So you need
Jason Taylor, Patrick Surtain, Sam Madison, but you notice I'm naming all defensive guys.
Yep.
They haven't had an offensive face in the franchise since Marino.
I was just going to say the same thing. Absolutely, 100%. And you've got to have that. You've got to have somebody. And whether, like you said, quarterback, look, is Osweiler better than Tannehill? I don't know. I'm really not sold on Brock Osweiler at all. I thought he was rated too high coming out of Arizona State. I thought he was rated too high. You and I had this conversation when he was having his little run in Denver, and I said, he's an overrated quarterback. And we saw that the moment he went to Houston, we saw how bad he really is. There's a reason he was taken in I think it was like the 4th or 5th round of the NFL draft. He's not that good. So when people were like, oh, no, he is the equivalent to me of Ryan Mallett, who had all the potential in the world. Just
wow. And you know what? That's big. That's Big Tex, man. Michigan recruited him out of Texas. They called him Big Tex. Up until that point, there were people saying Ryan Mallett was one of the best high school quarterbacks that ever come out of the state of Texas. And you're right. And as soon as Rich Rod got to Michigan, he tucked tail and transferred and ran down to Arkansas. And you're right, never really achieved his potential. And when you go play for Belichick and it doesn't work, which just a quick sidebar, that's going to happen with Josh Gordon. It's not going to work. They just superstar guys there. You have to be transcendent, like you mentioned, Moss. The Josh Gordon experience is not going to work there. But back to Ryan Mallett really fast. Even when Ryan Mallett went there, Ryan Mallett couldn't really grasp it. There for a few years as the backup. But as soon as they moved him, Ryan Mallett was out of the league. He didn't know. I mean, he couldn't play anywhere else. I don't even know if that guy's even up in Canada. Even Johnny Football's in Canada, stinking it up.
Right. So it's I get it. You got the size. He's 6'6". He's got the strong arm. But if you don't have any accuracy and you don't make good decisions with the football, and Brock Osweiler doesn't do that, you're not going to stick around long. And this might be his last shot. So we'll have to wait and see. But, speaking of young quarterbacks, a guy that's actually impressed me so far this year is a guy that was on the other side of the line this Sunday, and that's Mitchell Trubisky. When he came out of North Carolina and Chicago jumped up to take him with the number 2 pick last year, I was like, whoa. Not only did they just get schooled by the San Francisco 49ers and John Lynch, they're taking a guy who's not that good. I really didn't think much of him coming out. And last year, he was just awful. But it seems like, at least so far, he's made some improvements in his games. He's making better decisions. He's making faster decisions. He's still turning the ball over and trying to force it a little too much from my perspective right now, from my liking. But I see improvement there. Give me your thoughts on Trubisky so far this year.
I like Trubisky, and I liked him when he was at Carolina because I look at tangibles sometimes. Sometimes a guy like you mentioned about Osweiler, sometimes 6'6", 6'7", big body, big arm blows you away. But when you stick them on the field, remember, people thought Kansas City was silly for jumping up and getting Patrick Mahomes, right? Everybody was like, what the hell? You jumped up to take this kid out of Texas Tech, and then we had to hear about all the Texas Tech quarterbacks that threw for all these yards. But he had a different intangible about him that Andy Reid saw. The beauty about pro sports is you only need one head coach and GM to like you. You don't need 32 in the NFL. You don't need 32 in the NBA. You don't need 30 in major leagues. And you don't need 32 in hockey. You need one. And if the one guy sees the intangibles that you have, and Chicago looked at him, they tried out all the quarterbacks, and they looked and said, we like this guy, and we're going to jump up. Now, San Francisco may have got away that day, but if you look at the overall thing now, Garoppolo's got to come back from an ACL. He won't be the same quarterback because you're never the same human being, not just player. You're never the same human after Achilles or an ACL or back surgery. Those three things right there, you're never the same human being ever again. So draft day was a lot of jokes, and draft week and after that week and last year, a lot of ha-has. But I'm looking at a 3-2 football team with one of the best defenses in football. He's got he's got weapons all over the offense. It got to a point where they were just picking the Dolphins, and like I said, Miami's got one of the best secondaries in football. But they had a good quarter and a half where they were just picking Miami's secondary completely apart. Left side, right side, short, middle, deep. It didn't matter. They were picking that defense apart, and Mitchell Trubisky kind of has that it factor. Now, the interception he threw in the end zone to McDonald, I'll blame him, but I'll give McDonald credit too, because if you watch that play, they show the replay from the back view, and McDonald shades to the left. He's basically baiting a young quarterback. He shades to the left. Mitchell thinks that slant is open on the right, and he steps right back in front of it and picks it off. That's just a mistake that a young quarterback is going to make. But if you look at the rest of his throws, he's got 11 touchdowns right now. He's only 4 interceptions, 70% completion percentage. Those are the numbers we love to see. And, I like the kid. You got to give the days of judging quarterbacks after a year or two. They're just done in my book. We got to give guys time, Luis. We got to give guys time to get acclimated to their coaching staff, acclimated to the receivers, acclimated to the NFL. It is a different game. Look at Goff. Goff looked like hell the last 8 games of his rookie year when they finally decided to play him, right? He looked like hell. Comes out next year, number 1 offense in football. Comes out this year, number 1 offense in football. It just takes some time to get acclimated to the NFL. And Mitchell Trubisky, one thing I do like about him too is the kid is tough, man. He's taking some shots in the mouth this year, and he's gotten right back up. He has a QBR of 105. So for people that's saying, Mitchell Trubisky, he sucks and this and that, just to name some quarterbacks that's rated higher over him, because there aren't a lot big name type guys that are rated over him as far as QBR. You have Drew Brees, you have Phillip Rivers, Ryan Fitzpatrick, because Fitzpatrick was just on a tear. Matt Ryan, Patrick Mahomes, and Jared Goff. Those are the only quarterbacks in the league that have a better QBR than him. Not Russell Wilson, not Carson Wentz, not Aaron Rodgers, not Tom Brady, not Big Ben, Cam, Matthew Stafford, Eli, Deshaun, none of them. None of those guys have a better QBR than Mitchell Trubisky. And we all love to go about QBR. And I don't like QBR that much, but it's just my way to kind of throw it back in the naysayers' face and say, hey, hold up. Just like NBA, just like usage in the NBA. You love NBA usage so much, but when a player's is really low, you make an excuse for it for a player that you like. No. You want to talk analytics and talk usage, so you want to talk analytics and talk QBR? Okay, fine. Let's talk QBR. Mitchell Trubisky can't be that bad because the guys I just named in front of him, a few of those guys got Super Bowls, and then the guys below him got multiple Super Bowls. He still has a higher QBR.
Absolutely. No, he's doing a great job. And like I said, he really impressed me so far this year, and I look forward to seeing him continue to prove me wrong from last year. We've kind of mentioned this team a couple of times here, but let's talk about them now. The Pittsburgh Steelers, they go into Cincinnati and win 28-21. But you know what? When I looked at this game and I was watching it, it was nice because it was kind of a throwback. It's always nice when these two teams get together because it's more of a punch you in the mouth. We're going to line up and just go at it. And I like when I see football like that. But once again, the Cincinnati Bengals go Cincinnati Bengals. And the Steelers come back and win it at the end. And I'm not going to put a ton of stock into it because it's a rivalry game. You can throw out all the records and everything that came before it. But at least for one game, it looked like Pittsburgh kind of had some stuff together. James Conner looked really good. Once again, he's kind of been hit and miss. Looks really good one week, not so good the next. Antonio Brown, who's been the voice of frustration in that locker room, came up big when he needed to. But again, it's Cincinnati, and every time I want to believe in Cincinnati, VJ, I just have to kind of go to the defensive side of the ball, and I'm waiting for Cincinnati to be Cincinnati.
Man, there are a few things that's certain in life, Luis. That's death and taxes and Krispy Kreme donuts will always be the best damn donut on planet Earth. Those things just aren't going to change. And the Cincinnati Bengals, like you just said, will be the Cincinnati Bengals, and them losing at home to the Steelers is just what they do. I don't care about the pick play on it at the end of the game. Damn it, get over the play. You got to know, and like I said, as a defensive guy, you got to know that's coming. You've watched enough film. You've seen them run this shit before. They do it over and over again. It's all over the NFL. And for you to allow that receiver to crash in, and you know AB's going to slide in, even if you fight through it, he's still making that catch. But to not recognize that and play off or get up in both their faces and jam them as hard as you can off the offensive line, off the line of scrimmage, it just baffles me. But the Bengals are the Bengals, man. And every year, we could go back to the year they had home field advantage and the Steelers come in and Carson Palmer goes deep to TJ Houshmandzadeh, big completion downfield. Oh, but you look back, Van der Bosch has crashed into Carson's knee. Torn knee, season over. I mean, it's just whatever can go wrong in Cincinnati. I don't know what it is about Ohio, but whatever can go wrong in Cincinnati and whatever can go wrong in Cleveland, or whatever excuse can be made for LeBron and the Cavs when he was there, or whatever excuse can be made for Ohio State and Urban Meyer, I do not know what the Cleveland Indians is another one. Whatever can go wrong sports-wise in that state will go wrong. And the Steelers are the Steelers. They're going to be there. They're a tough-minded team. I still don't think Tomlin can coach worth crap. They're pretty much riding Big Ben right now. I thought I saw a report, I'm not sure yet, that Le'Veon has shown up. They're going into their bye week. Le'Veon is going to show up, or he's already there, because the questions are, okay, who do you start, him or Connor? Big Ben leads the league in passing yards, so you know they're leaning on Big Ben. He's completing about 65% of his passes, QBR to 94. You know, AB is AB. They're going to be there. I still question the defense. I still question the secondary. And I still question the coaching. But I still think they're a 10-6, 11-5 football team. Well, no, they have a tie. So they would be like 10-5-1 or 11-3-1. But when you are 11-4-1, excuse me. But when you look at that game, I was just like you, man. When AB caught that ball, all I did is I just shook my head and I said, and there goes your Bengals. That's all I did. I looked at my wife and I said, and there goes the Bengals. You got to be kidding me.
It's funny because, there was only 10 seconds left they got the ball. It was like 30 seconds left to go in the game. And I kind of looked at my wife. I had a Sunday off and I looked at my wife and I said, Steelers are going to win this game.
Yeah.
It wasn't a question. I know it was tied, but it was like, no, it wasn't a question. It was just, no, it wasn't going to go into overtime. It wasn't going to be anything like that. Yeah, Cincinnati was excited because they just tied the game. And I looked at my wife and said, no, the Pittsburgh's going to win this game.
No,
I'm not worried about it.
They're going to, Cincinnati is going to be. Let me ask you this, because we've seen this in 4 games this week, where teams scored late, but they left too much time on the clock. We saw it in Green Bay last night. We saw it in Miami.
Yep.
We saw it in Cincinnati. And I'm missing one more. There was one more late score. Oh, in the Kansas City game. Kansas City, New England.
Yes.
Is it time, in your opinion, to start telling your guys, look, if you get down to the 1 or 2, fall down or go out of bounds. We're going to make them burn timeouts, and we're going to milk the clock and assure we get this win. Or do you, and I heard this question thrown around on yesterday, or do you just stick with, nope, you score, and then you lean on your defense? But, once again, if your defense is already giving up 28, 35, 36, 37 points, to say, lean on your defense, well, damn it, we've been trying to lean on them for the last three quarters and 13, 14 minutes. And they haven't shown up all day. Why the hell am I going to try to lean on them now? Do you think it's time to maybe for teams to start to scheme and strategize scoring with almost no time left on the clock, even if you have to not score when you first get down there?
I think it depends really on situation and who you're playing and where you're playing at, because you're going to worry about weather conditions. If you're playing in New England or you're playing in Green Bay and you've got the wind and you've got the snow coming down or the rain, I think it depends on conditions. But the problem with that, It's kind of too prone. If you can get down to like the 1 yard line, get yourself set up, you're in a tie game, and a field goal wins it. Yeah, I think you can do that. You can kind of position yourself for the field goal. But again, now you're tempting fate, because what happens if it's a bad snap? What happens if there's you get penalties? What happens if there's a fumble somewhere? So I think once you start trying to scheme for that, you're really tempting fate. Now you're saying, well, if it's a 22, 23-yard field goal, it should be fine. You're right. It should be fine. But how many times have we seen, like I said, a bad snap? Have we seen problems on the exchanges? The kicker just misses it. It's kind of a tough. I'm of the opinion, if you can score, you score. Because if you don't have players you believe in on the other side, then you're doing a bad job as an organization. You're doing a bad job as a coach, and you're not putting yourselves in the best position to win. I think once you start tempting with time, it's different. I'll give you an example. You break off you're at the 21, you break off a 20-yard run, you've got 30 seconds, and you're down by 3. Touchdown puts you up 4. I think there you score, regardless of what your defense has been doing all game, because now that other team has got, let's say, 80 yards to go in 20 seconds. I'll take that, okay? But if you're, let's say same scenario, but it's 2 minutes, and you've got Aaron Rodgers on the other side, that's a tough sell either way, because you're still going to leave. Let's say you fall down, you force them to use your timeouts, you shaved off a minute and you score. You still got Aaron Rodgers on the other side going 8, only down 3, or let's say down 4, have to score a touchdown, have to go 80 yards. Aaron Rodgers is the guy that can get it done. So I think it just depends on the situation. And I think once you start tempting fate, you're a believer in karma. I am too. I think it could come back and bite you more times than it's not. So it's a tough one. It's a tough one. I think it depends on the situation.
Yeah, I like I said, that's a tough one for me too, man. But I'm starting to think now that if I'm Tariq Hill the other night and I break open like that, I slide down at the 2, man. You got Tom Brady over there, and you saw Brady say, "Good. They left us enough time, They left that. He said it himself. Good. Score.
Right.
I'm gonna go score. So you go ahead. And we got Gronk, we got Edelman, we have me. I'm Tom freaking Brady. I'm gonna go score. So I just, like I said, man, I've seen it in the past where teams have downed it. I mean, there was one really, really famous one where Maurice Jones-Drew, playing at the Giants or at the Jets. It was up in New York. I just can't remember if the Giants or the Jets had a wide open touchdown late in the game and slid down at the 2 or slid down at the 1.
Yeah.
They drained the clock and then scored with like 3 seconds left to go and won the football game. And I knew it threw a bunch of fantasy people like in an uproar that he didn't score because he didn't end up scoring the touchdown. They gave the touchdown. The backup came in and just did a 1-yard plunge and scored a touchdown. I remember a lot of fantasy guys went nuts about that because it was it was late in the year. So it was fantasy players. It was their playoffs because it was late in the year. It was like week 15 or week 16 when he pulled that. I just remember plays like that and then thinking that was smart. It knocked an AFC team out of the playoffs. It put the Jags into the playoffs. And, you won a game that you probably might not have won if you scored and then gave Eli and those guys a chance to go back down the field. We've seen it in Super Bowls. Tom Brady hits Randy Moss, 14-10 Patriots. They're going to finish undefeated. I know it was accompanied by the luckiest play in football history with Eli escaping, combinating with the luckiest catch in NFL history with Tyree with the ball on his helmet, and you got Rodney Harrison swiping at the ball and missing it. I understand fate happens, but if you're New England and you just get it to the 1 and you bleed that clock down, you finish undefeated that year and you win the Super Bowl. There's just times I could think, man, just way too many times that teams score and they leave too much time on the clock and they end up going. And then you saw what New England did, right? New England gets down there. What they do? They bleed the clock. Tom Brady does a little, BS scramble to the middle of the field to set up for his kicker. They bleed it down to 3 seconds. Miami did the same thing Sunday. Even though Chicago missed the field goal, but they did the same. They drive, they get the ball in the middle of the field, they spike it with 3 seconds left, kick the field goal and win the game.
Right. And again, I think it depends on situation and time. When you look at the New England game, when Tyreek Hill scored, there was still 3 minutes left on the clock. Even if you milk that and you still score, you might be able to take off another minute because you still got the 2-minute warning coming up. You've still got, Belichick scored with this timeout. He's going to use his timeout. So I still think you're giving Brady back the ball with about 2 minutes left, maybe a little bit more. And no, it's not 3 minutes. You'll be able to milk a minute off the clock, but I still think 2 minutes in that situation is enough for Tom Brady to get something done. So that in that situation, no, I don't think you can milk the clock. But if you're talking, under a minute, yeah, you can milk the clock. That's what I mean. It depends on the time left in the game. Depends on where the game is. It depends on the situation because each situation is going to dictate a different philosophy. So, like in this case with Brady, yeah, you're limiting him 3 minutes, but you've still got 3 minutes left to go in the game. You've got to be able to do something, and that's where like we talked about earlier, Vijay, where the defenses have to start stepping up. You have to start doing a better job prepping your defenses and getting right personnel in there. Can you tell me how much could Kansas City use a guy like Marcus Peters right about now?
Oh man. Marcus Peters. I'm not sure what's even happened to their D-line and their linebacker. Kansas City has, I looked it up about 30 minutes ago. Kansas City has the dead last defense in football. Dead last.
Yep.
That's not winning a Super Bowl, bro. I'm sorry. Everybody that thinks that. And it's not even on, Andy Reid starts fast, because that's the narrative. Andy Reid he starts fast. No, Andy Reid doesn't start fast. His team starts fast. He does a great job coaching. He can't tackle. He can't catch. He doesn't block. He doesn't run. He doesn't throw. He doesn't do any of those things. He puts the game plan in place, and it's up to the players to go out and execute the damn game plan.
Oh, absolutely. And don't forget, they are missing Justin Houston back there as well. They'll get him back, but again, it's another, it'll be a nice addition, but is it going to cover the whole defense? No, he can't be everywhere. He'll help the pass rush. He'll help lock down, shore up the running game a little bit. But if you're relying on one guy to bolster your whole defense, you've got a lot of problems. And I think that's what Kansas City's kind of looking at right now.
Yeah.
Let me ask you that, because last year I was really high on this team, and they really let me down after the year they had 2 years ago. But
I know. I don't want to. If I could just interject really quick, can I guess the team?
Yep.
Atlanta Falcons.
Oh, sure. No. You already knew.
Atlanta Falcons.
No, I'm talking about the Oakland Raiders.
Oh, really? Okay, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I saw this year coming, though, man. I saw this coming, bro. Gruden, listen, I was just with a cousin of my wife's last night in the hospital visiting him. And the three of us, my wife, him, we were sitting around, we're talking about the Raiders. And I looked at, they're both diehard Raider fans. I said, guys, this year was coming. Gruden doesn't like what's in the cupboard. You have to give him. You got to give him 2 seasons, and he's smart. He know what he's doing. Amari Cooper's on the trading block. He just doesn't want these guys.
Yeah, I saw that.
He doesn't want these guys. Amari Cooper. Listen, I'll just ask anybody like this. You're mad they traded Khalil Mack. Okay, tell me what the defense was last year with Khalil Mack. Like, I agreed with Gruden when he said that. And I know Camille got in his feelings, and a lot of people got in their feelings about it. And Keyshawn's out here on the radio, and he's still got his personal feelings. He can't be professional, let his personal feelings for Gruden go. He's still pissed about Tampa Bay. So this is his chance to beat up on Gruden. Gruden knows what he's doing. Nobody's talking about 2 first-round picks 2019, 2 first-round picks 2020. Are you kidding me? That's good stuff right there, man. For a guy who, excuse me, if I'm not mistaken, Laramie Tunsil completely took him out of the game Sunday. Did you hear Khalil Mack's game called in Miami on Sunday? No.
Nope.
No. You're not winning a Super Bowl with a defensive end unless his name is Von Miller, because Von Miller is the last guy. Before that, it was Reggie White, of a defensive end who leads your football. J.J. Watt, 3-time defensive player of the year. What playoff game have they won? So Gruden he's fixing things, man. People need to just back off Oakland. And I'm not an Oakland fan by far. I'm still pissed at the Sea of Hands. I'm a Dolphin fan. I'm still mad about the Sea of Hands. And I wasn't even alive when the Sea of Hands happened. And I'm still pissed about it. They need to leave Gruden alone. Let Gruden he needs 2 years. This is not about the now with the Raiders. They're moving to Vegas. He wants to make sure that when they get to Vegas, they have a viable team to show up in Vegas with. We saw the Rams do it here. They got to L.A., you got some star power. What do you need in L.A.? You need more star power. Let's go get Brandon Cooks and Dominic Sue, Marcus Peters. We got a star running back. We got star receivers. We got a star quarterback. You need stars in L.A. Vegas is no different, baby. Vegas is all about stars and parties. If you ever been to Vegas, anybody listening out there, you ever been to Vegas, you know I'm speaking facts right now. Stars and parties is what Vegas is about. Raiders game, it's a big party, man, and they need stars. But you got to have a viable team when you get to when you get out of Oakland and you get to Vegas. That's what he's trying to do right now, and I totally agree with it. Somebody tell me what Amari Cooper's doing. Oh, he's going to trade Amari Cooper. Tell me what he's doing, bro. That's all I ask. I don't want to hear nothing else. Answer the question. What is he doing? Okay, Khalil Mack. What was the defense with Khalil Mack there? That defense was so great, right? What did they do when they went on the road to play the Texans 2 years ago in the playoffs? What did that defense do? Give up a bunch of points to, was it Brock Osweiler was the quarterback? Or Yates or something?
I think so.
Or Yates, Brock Osweiler. I think they were rotating Brock and Yates in back. I mean, give me a break. Stop with this. Oh, you trade this guy. Look what you got back. You know how many teams would love 4 first-round picks in the next 2 years? And the last time I checked, the guys that he picks in the first round, they tend to pan out. I can't find the last Gruden bust in the first round. The guys he normally drafts work out. So I'm not sure. I'm not as surprised as you. I'll just say that. I saw this year coming. I had them at a 4-12, 3-13 football team on my preview show. And the 1-5 just does not support. Listen, they should have beat Miami. They should have beat Denver.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were in some games, man. You go to London. Listen,
no, they're in some games.
Yeah, London's a coin flip, man. We've seen teams go out to London that are good and look like crap. Number one, that's a long-ass flight. It's unfamiliar. It's unfamiliar territory. They do not have the same food. They do not have the same weather. They do not have the same air to breathe. Like, people think that stuff's funny, but it's really, really true, man. You go to a different country, it's different. Athletes are creatures of habit. So you go out there, it looks bad, but Amari Cooper gets knocked out the game. Carr gets knocked around.
Yeah.
I expect this year to be what it is, but look what you're going to end up with. Probably the first or the second overall pick. Look at the kids coming out of college. Then you're going to have a pick probably in 13, 14 in the first round, and they got you got a second round. But who knows? Maybe those 2 picks or one of those picks is trade bait, baby. Maybe you trade. You trade Khalil away, but who knows? Maybe you trade and get another big time player in next year. But I'm not as surprised as you, bro.
I'm more surprised with how quickly they've fallen. 2 years ago, they were in the playoffs, and people were talking about Derek Carr possibly as an MVP candidate. And then last year, they took a step back. I think they were, I want to say 8-8 last year, but I don't think that's right. And then all of a sudden, you bring Gruden in. I thought he was going to make some changes. I just didn't expect this. And it just seems to me, at least at the outset, on the field right now, there's just no cohesion. They don't know what they want. It's just very, very, it just looks sloppy. And I agree with you. You got to give Gruden time. You got to, I'm not one of those. I know that there's people out there who are like, we got to get rid of him now. We got to do this. No, you got to give him time. You don't bring in a new coach and fire him after 1 year. That's what Al Davis used to do, and that's what made the Raiders a laughing stock for years and years and years. You don't do that. But at the same time, I do feel like, how much changeover is he going to have? Are we looking at a completely new team next year, especially from where they were 2 years ago? Like I said, in the playoffs, people were talking really highly about them, and now to see them where they're at now, it's just very, very. That's something I didn't see coming this fast, I guess is the best way I can put it, from 2 years ago. One other question I got to ask, BJ, what the hell has happened to the Jacksonville Jaguars defense? They gave up 40 on the road to Dallas, and Dallas has been struggling offensively all year long, and all of a sudden it just looked like they were just running roughshod over Jacksonville any way they wanted.
I'm not, once again, I don't think I'm going to jump on Jacksonville as much as everybody else is jumping on Jacksonville for one game, because what I still see is a great defense. You're gonna have these Sundays, man. You're gonna have Sundays where things just don't go right. Things look a little bleak. You're gonna run into some problems. You're gonna run. They're a good football. They're a good football team. The Dallas Cowboys. I know a lot of people don't like hearing that. A lot of people don't want to admit that. But when I look at them, I still see a top 5 defense. I still see a team who can still go out there and get it done on the defensive end. Jalen Ramsey, people want to make what they want to make about his comments or what have you. But, I don't think anything's happened to him, Luis. I think that, they just lost a 9-6 game, if I'm not mistaken, just a few weeks ago. So they're there. Jacksonville is the second-ranked defense in football. Okay, that's why I don't understand. Once again, why this whole thing? But this is also a year of offenses, so I think we're looking at defenses as that they're not as good as they used to be. But I still think Jacksonville's fine, man. 17 points a game. They're giving up over 300, but so is everybody else in the NFL. As I mentioned before, the only team giving up less points than Jacksonville defensive pass-wise are the Baltimore Ravens. So I still look at Jacksonville as who they are. I still think they're a really good defense. I tell you this, though, that division is going to be really good down to the end. That division's coming down to the last week in football. So I don't.
Oh,
I'll be real with you, bro. I don't really see a problem with Jacksonville's defense. Like I said, they were just in a game a few weeks ago. All they gave up was 6 points, and then there was another game where they gave up 3 points. So they're there. But Dallas, you go on the road. Like I said, just Sunday to Sunday, it happens, man. You're going to give up these explosive games and these explosive play. We saw it with the Dolphins a few weeks ago. They go up to New England, just get thrashed. We know that secondary is not that bad, but they just got thrashed. And sometimes Dallas is. I thought the Dallas game was Dallas needed to make more of a statement than Jacksonville did, because you have Zeke, you have Dak, you are America's team. Jerry Jones can't never shut up. Their fan base is one of the most passionate and loving but irritating fan bases out there. So long story short, to answer your question, I don't think anything's wrong with Jacksonville, bro. I think they got caught on a Sunday. Any given Sunday, once again, it just happens. But I think at the end of the year, their defense will be there. Listen, I hope the defense keeps playing this bad because they got my Dolphins in a few weeks. So I hope this defense keeps playing that bad. But I just don't think it. I just don't think it will. And I think they'll right the ship, man. They got a few injuries there too, man. I got Calais Campbell on my fantasy team in the league that we're in together, and I can't seem to get more than 3 to 4 points out of him on the defensive line. And last year, he held my defensive line position down every game, and I never had to sub him out. Now I'm looking on the scrap heap for maybe a guy to bring in and just plug him in and just kind of sit him a week or two and see what's up. But no. Number 2 ranked defense in the league. I just think it was one Sunday, bro.
Okay. One last team. You mentioned this team a lot, and this team is, I don't know if I want to call them a surprise of the league, but I didn't expect them to be this good and this dominant, especially defensively. And that's the Ravens. The Ravens have looked absolutely phenomenal since week 1 when they went up and they blasted Buffalo. Here they are this week. They shut out Tennessee. Division games always count double. And, this wasn't a division game. But the Ravens just look really, really good.
Well, I'll say it like this. First, I got 2 news flashes for you. First news flash, ladies and gentlemen, the Baltimore Ravens still play one thing: defense. It's been this way for 15, 16 years, man. That it just that they've had a season or two where it wasn't the right, but it wasn't the defense that we were used to. But You get that when you lose a corner to injury. You lose a safety, or guys get a little older. They lost Terrell Suggs to a torn triceps, and then he tore his pectoral like 2 years later, and he's been out. The defensive tackle was moved out of there as a free agent, went up to Detroit. But then they got other players in there, plug some guys in, and you get your defense back. Why? Because it's their culture. Once again, there's that word. You are what your culture says you are. Bill Parcells used to say, you are what your record says you are. I like that, but also like, you are what your culture says you are. Their culture's defense, it's always going to be defense. They went and drafted big-time tight ends, and they're just not working these guys in. And newsflash number 2, boy, what it will do to a player in professional sports when their incumbent replacement is drafted. I honestly am starting to think that Lamar Jackson was drafted to push Joe Flacco. Now, he may be the replacement in the future, but there was no way they wanted him to be the replacement this year because they knew they could run the football and they could stop the run and they could play defense. They just needed a quarterback who wasn't going to turn the ball over. What do rookies do at quarterback position? They turn the ball over. You draft this kid, and that was the story of the training camp in preseason. People were like, okay, Flacco's woken up. I think the brass got together and said, listen, Lamar might be the future, but we're not trying to use Lamar this year. Let's use Lamar this year to get what last little bit we have out of Flacco. Because if you look around the AFC, you have the Patriots, you have the Steelers, but the Steelers can't beat the Patriots, but the Ravens can beat the Steelers. So the AFC Championship game can easily be the Ravens at New England, and then you have a defense that goes up there who's not afraid of Tom Brady. They're not afraid of Bill Belichick. They play in the cold too. It snows in Baltimore too. It's cold and windy in Baltimore. They're tough-minded. They can run the football. They can stop the run, and they can rush Tom Brady. And they have defensive backs to play the receivers. That might be your AFC Championship game because they can play defense, man, and Flacco's been pushed by Lamar Jackson, and I like what I'm seeing out of him. They use 2 running backs. Look at here's a guy I got to give props to. For everybody that craps on Michael Crabtree, wow, the guy just continues to show up week after week, Sunday after Sunday, game after game, play after play. And I know he had his stuff with Talib, and I thought it was time for him to get out of Oakland. I did. I thought it was time for Crabtree to move on and get out of that division. Get away from Talib. Get away from all that stuff, man. Go to a different team. He comes to Baltimore, and it's like he just plugs right in. And we go look at his numbers. 8 catches, 7 catches, 6 catches, 8 catches, 5 catches, 7 catches. Every week. There's never a game where you look and go, where's Crabtree? Yep. He's consistently 70, 80 yards every Sunday. He's become my Mr. Reliable as far as non-superstar receivers. Him and Adam Thielen from Minnesota, who ironically, quick sidebar, leads the league in receiving yards.
Oh, Adam Thielen, I thought he broke out last year, and I expected him to have an even better season this year, and so far he's had it. The way him and Kirk Cousins have just gelled together, I thought that was coming. And it's just Adam Thielen is your next superstar receiver. I really believe that. He doesn't have the separation speed, but man, he runs really good routes. He's got enough separation speed to get by people, and you can rely on him. And you don't find that anymore.
I'm laughing because the comedian in me I would be incomplete as a human being if I didn't play the comedian card. And why is it when we describe white receivers, we talk about their route running? But when we describe black receivers as, oh my God, he is this big play threat. But the white receivers, and McCaffrey, his son McCaffrey, and look at him in Carolina. But I'm sorry, the comedian in me, I could go back to, Wayne Corbett. We could go to Amendola. Just when we describe white receivers, we always go, man, he may not be so athletic, but God, does he run crisp passing routes, and his hands are exceptional, and he's such a hard worker. I always find that. But it is true, because if you're not fast, you better be able to run a damn route, and you better be able to catch a damn ball. Right. It's true. No, it's very true. If you don't have AB speed, Odell's just out of this world athletic ability, if you're not built like an SUV, like a Denali, like Julio Jones, you're right. If you're a Honda, you better be able to go for 20 years, man, because The Porsche can outrun you.
Yes.
The Denali's bigger and stronger. The Benz is more luxurious. But you see more Honda Accords on the road and Toyota Camrys than any other car in the entire planet.
Oh, without a doubt. You kind of mentioned all these guys. I'll mention one guy who was an exceptional route runner, didn't have the breakaway speed, but had enough speed, very similar to what I just said about Adam Thielen. And this guy's arguably the greatest receiver in football, and that's Jerry Rice. He was not a blazing guy, but man, could that guy go.
Yeah. Well, see, Jerry Rice, he didn't have 40-yard combine clock speed. Jerry Rice had game speed because he outran. I put it to you like this.
Yes.
Go talk to the defensive backs in the 80s and ask them if he wasn't fast. I'm always, you know me, I'm always the guy that says, talk to the guys that played against him. We can sit and listen to Skip, and we can sit and listen to some of these other guys on TV that never, and I'm one of those guys who, I didn't play in the NFL, so that's why I try not, I will always take a back seat to a guy that looks me in the face and go, VJ, I lined up against the guy. VJ, I played in his conference for 10 years. I played against that guy plus 3 playoff games. I saw that guy 23 times in my career. Trust me, the guy can play, or the guy can block, or the guy can rush, or the guy can run, or the guy can catch. So, for a lot of people that we fall in love with the blazing speed, i.e. Al Davis, Haywood Darius Haywood Bay, number 5th overall pick, and everybody goes, huh? Combine speed. Chris Johnson, combine speed. I understand he ran for 2,000 yards one year, but once again, somebody tell me what Tennessee ever did with him on the roster. What playoffs did you win? What AFC championship games did you go to? What Super Bowls did you go to? Or just not even win, just go to? None. You didn't do it. So for all that speed, and we fall in love with the stop clock and the stopwatch, and I get it, but I don't know, bro. As far as Rice not having blazing speed, you're right. But not fast, well, go talk to the Rams defenders. Go talk to the Falcons defenders.
Oh, sure.
And go talk to the Saints defenders that had to see him for 15 years. And you ask them if he wasn't fast. And I'm pretty sure they'll all look at you and go, no, Jerry, bro. When Jerry got the ball.
He was, yeah.
Yeah. When Jerry got the ball. No, go ahead. But when Jerry got the ball, he broke out.
Yeah, exactly. Like you said, there's a difference between 40 speed and game speed, and Jerry Rice had the game speed for sure. I was definitely not trying to knock Jerry Rice at all. That was just, as you know, VJ, the narrative on him. But he broke away plenty enough from DBs in that time and during his NFL career. That's definitely not a knock on the great Hall of Famer Jerry Rice. That is for damn sure, because I wouldn't be stupid enough to do that.
Oh, and I know that's not. And trust me, brother, I know that's not what you were doing. But we do hear that narrative that Jerry Rice didn't have breakaway speed. And it's like, well, okay, bro, like he didn't have breakaway speed. Neither did Tim Brown. I didn't think I would never look at Tim Brown because remember when you went to the games at the Coliseum back in those days. James Jett was on the team, and his last name was very fitting for him because he flew like a jet. But who was the number one receiver? It was Tim Brown, who was one of the best receivers in the league for his entire career. It was Tim Brown, and the guy never wore gloves. He just put the tape on the knuckles, man. Like, I love that. If you don't mind, can I throw a question? I have a question about a player in a team that I haven't heard one iota thing, and that's because a lot of people led by Colin Cowherd rode this guy so hard and, was on his jock so hard. He's going to be so transcendent. And he's great. He's a good player. But I'm starting to look at him and go, bro, he's just like all these other young quarterbacks. You come in, you put up some numbers, you overrate the guy. You still need pieces all around him. What is going on with Andrew Luck and the Indianapolis Colts?
Oh, no, I absolutely agree. I just think, like you said, there's nothing around him. The guy's just coming back from 2 years out of football. But what I don't see from him, I don't see the leadership. I don't see the, I don't see that swag.
Is he too much of a nice kid? Is he too much of a nice kid? Like he pats defenders, he congratulates them when he sack them. I understand, killing people with kindness, and you get more bees with honey. I get all that shit. But in football, I don't know if I agree. That leadership thing you're talking about, is it because he's just too much of a nice dude?
It could be, but I think when you look at him going back to his days at Stanford, he was so good athletically for the college game. Okay, he's not the greatest athlete there is, but he was good enough athletically. He could do a lot of different things while he was up at Stanford. He came out to all this hub, and you expected him to just. I think the expectation was he's going to be Tom Brady, like in the sense that he's going to be able to make the receivers better. He's going to be able to make everybody else around him better. And the thing being is, you can throw guys open. You can throw, balls where they're supposed to be. But if the receivers aren't there, if your target's not there, if people are not where they're supposed to be, it doesn't matter where you throw it because you're going to be throwing it to either open space or to the other team. Andrew Luck, he's got the physical tools. And so far he's looked pretty good. He's still getting back his decision-making, but he could very easily be too nice of a guy. It's okay. Like, I was always okay with somebody, hey, someone makes a good play on me, you pat him on the butt, and you go on. But that doesn't take away my fire to want to kill the guy on the next play. And with Andrew Luck, you don't see that. So he could very easily be too nice a guy, but he's got to have people around him. And right now he doesn't. T.Y. Hilton, he hasn't been playing because of his hamstring. They don't have any other real specialty players out there that are of consequence. They don't have a running game. They haven't had a running game since Edgerrin James left and retired. If there's ever a team in the NFL that we've seen as soft, it's the Indianapolis Colts. And the problem is we've seen them as soft going all the way back to when Peyton Manning first started. And it hasn't changed. That perception hasn't changed. I don't think it's so much Andrew Luck wanting to be a nice guy. I think the whole organization is kind of, I want to be the nice guy, have that image. You don't want to have any controversy. And, I get it. You want to have good character guys. You never hear about, or you very seldomly do you ever hear about guys with the Colts having problems off the field. I get that. At some point, though, you got to have playmakers. When you had Peyton Manning, you were able to surround him with Edgerrin James, Marvin Harrison, Reggie Wayne, Dallas Clark. You were able to surround him with really good specialty players, and right now they don't have that. So your defense is soft. Your offensive line is not very good. Your running backs are terrible. The only good player you have is a guy coming back from injury for 2 years that hasn't been playing. So I don't think it's so much Andrew Luck. I think it's just the whole organization.
Yeah, 42 points to the Jets, man. That was super telling to me. And he puts up numbers because they're down a lot, and he's got to pass. And I know people want to defend the numbers, but I have to look at the overall picture. And I just watched them this year, and it's been 6 weeks now. So after 6 weeks, I think you could get a really good bead on teams and what they are and who they are. I know we're up against the clock, but just a few. I just want to get your opinion on a few other teams also too, and I'll just throw both of them at you.
Yep.
Minnesota, who are they? What will they be? And Philly, who are they? What would it be? Also, quick breaking news just through Devontae Freeman groin surgery. So there goes Atlanta's running game.
Ooh.
Yeah, exactly. There goes Atlanta's running game. So now Tevin Coleman is going to have to be the feature back there. And, we spoke briefly about Atlanta before. Maybe we can go to Atlanta too also. But Philly and Minnesota. Philly defending champions. You beat up on the Giants. I get it. Giants are 1-5. Giants are no good. Minnesota beat up on Arizona. Arizona's 1-5. Arizona's no good. But two teams that one won the Super Bowl, one was close. But two teams I look at this year and I just go, something's missing, and I just can't put my finger on it. Help me out.
Well, I'll tell you, for Minnesota, that's right there. One of the things that they're missing right now is a running game. They drafted Dalvin Cook last year, who, he was looking really good before he got hurt, but he's been hurt again this year, and they haven't gotten any kind of consistency from that running game to help Kirk Cousins. So you bring a new quarterback who's learning a new system, trying to get acclimated to not just a new city, a new team, and now a whole new offensive scheme. And one of the guys you're relying on is not there. One of your biggest guys who's supposed to take pressure off you, he's gone. Yes, you have Latavius Murray, who looked like the Murray that was with the Oakland Raiders this past weekend, but that's one game. Yeah, he had 24 for 155 and a touchdown. Great. But if he's can't do it consistently, it doesn't matter. Everybody has the one game. So you've got Kirk Cousins trying to figure out the offense. He's doing he's doing a pretty good job so far getting guys together with guys, but he's also kind of one of the things that they did really well last year that Case Keenum, even though I knocked him earlier in the show, one of the things that Case Keenum did really well with them last year was he was able to spread the ball around. He was able to get it to Kyle Rudolph and Stephon Diggs and Robinson and then Thielen and Treadwell. He spread the ball around a lot, where Kirk Cousins hasn't really done that yet. If you look at just this last game, 15 targets to Adam Thielen, which is great for him and his fantasy owners. But then you look at the rest of the team. 4 targets to Treadwell, 4 targets to Rudolph, 5 targets to Diggs. So your other top 3 guys, they only have 13 targets when Thielen has 15 by himself. Now, is that a result of the coverage that the Cardinals were running? Or is it something else? Diggs hasn't really had that connection with Kirk Cousins yet. I think they're still trying to find it. So until they find a way to spread the ball around more, and until they finally get a running game that they can depend on, look, it's only his second year, but Dalvin Cook's already had 2 straight years of injury. So you have to start to question, is this a guy you can really depend on week in and week out? I don't know. So we'll have to wait and see. Their defense has looked really good at times and then looked really, really bad at times. The one that sticks out to me is that shutout loss to Buffalo, where they just got shellacked. And you could say it was an anomaly, it was a one-time deal. But if you look at it, what they did in that game, what Buffalo did in that game, was they really kind of gave you a way to view Minnesota and say, okay, this is how you can attack them. They attacked them with scrambling. They attacked them up the middle. And they did a really good job with that. The Rams were able to throw on them pretty much at will the following week, so their secondary hasn't been that good. If you look at their wins, they had a win opening week against at home against the 49ers, which I thought was a good win for them. They beat Philadelphia 2 weeks ago at Philly. That's a good win. But again, you're talking about a Philly team who their starting quarterback is just coming back from injury, still trying to find themselves. They've been dealing with a lot of injuries as well. Joseph Ajayi is now gone for the year. So they're trying to find out who's healthy, who can we go to, and at the same time get a quarterback back up to speed who was an MVP candidate just last year. So, their defense, Philadelphia's defense has been playing okay, but not with that same fire and tenacity we saw last year. And they haven't been that great offensively either. So we don't know what Philadelphia is, and I'll tackle Philadelphia a little bit more in just a second. But when you look at Minnesota, they don't have that one true win where you can say, yes, we clicked on all cylinders. The defense did this, or the offense did this. Their wins have been okay. The win at Philadelphia is probably their best win so far, but then they had the tie at Green Bay where, that game was kind of back and forth. Everyone's kind of like, who's going to break out? And then neither team really broke out. And then they followed that up with that bad loss to Buffalo and then that loss to the Rams. So until Minnesota, in my opinion, look, they're 28th in rushing at 87.3 yards per game. That's not going to get it done.
Only 2 rushing touchdowns. They can't move the ball on the ground.
No, they can't. They absolutely cannot. And you have to be able to have, even in a passing league, you have to be able to move the ball somewhat on the ground. And if you can't do that, you're getting a third and short. And if we don't respect your running game, you're in big trouble. How much do you think they miss a guy like LeGarrette Blount right about now?
Yeah.
He probably could have been a guy that could have helped them a lot. Here at this time right now. Now you asked about the Eagles as well. The Eagles, I think, are going to be okay. My biggest issue with the Eagles, again, is like I just touched on with in talking about Minnesota, is that you're bringing back your starting quarterback off of an ACL injury last year. where he missed the entire playoffs in the Super Bowl. You're trying to get him up to speed and acclimated to the offense again. So I think that's a big deal there. You've also had a ton of injuries. You can't run the ball. Your leading rusher is now gone for the year. There was talk and rumors that they might try to trade for LaShawn McCoy, but Buffalo has already said no. There has also been rumors that they might be involved in trying to trade for Amari Cooper. There's also rumors that they were trying to acquire Le'Veon Bell as well. They know they need help. They know they need help at the running game. They know they need another receiver, I feel. I felt last year they kind of got lightning in a bottle. Carson Wentz goes down, Nick Foles comes in, and Nick Foles does a very good job. Obviously, he was a Super Bowl MVP of guiding that offense. The receivers, everyone kind of had a chip on their shoulder last year when you looked at Philadelphia. They weren't really expected to do all that much. No one was really sure because you had, a quarterback in his second year who was on the ascension, but he wasn't really that. No one expected him to be an MVP candidate this fast, and then he goes and gets hurt. You look at the guys, the specialty guys they have right now. Alshon Jeffrey, good. He's a good receiver, but he's not what I would classify as a true number one receiver. He's not a guy that's going to go out and make the plays when you need him to. He's a decent receiver, but he's not one of those great receivers. Nelson Aguilar, another guy, very similar to Alshon Jeffrey, even though I think Jeffrey has a little more talent. But Aguilar, he's going to make some plays for you. He's going to move the ball for you a little bit here and there, but he's not going to be he's questionable whether he's going to be that go-to guy for you there. And then, like I said, you lose Jay Ajayi. Now you're back to Corey Clement and Wendell Smallwood. Darren Sproles has been hurt all year, hasn't really played. Philadelphia just needs a lot of help and needs to get guys healthy to see what they even have before they go forward. I don't see that swag. I don't see that chip on the shoulder, especially on defense. I don't see them getting after the quarterback as much. And until they get back to that chip, until they say, okay, you know what? People are doubting us. People don't think we're that good. We need to start balling out again. Until that happens, they may very easily be a 500, 9-7 team this year because, if you want to call it the Super Bowl hangover, you want to call it whatever. Yeah, they won the Super Bowl. Great. The first one in their franchise history. Great. But what are you doing? That was last year. What are you doing for me now?
And I don't put it on Super Bowl hangover because I don't think a lot of people realize you lose your running back, you lose your assistant coach, you lose your offensive coordinator, you lose your quarterback's coach. Yep. You don't get your starting quarterback back until week 3, week 4 this year. You don't get Alshon Jeffrey back until week 4 this year. I don't even put it on Super Bowl hangover. I think they've had some injuries. And I think when you win, coaches are going to leave, coordinators are going to leave. I think that has an effect on you. I think the one thing that saves Philly is the division that they're in with the Cowboys and the Giants and the Skins. Oh, yeah. I'm not a big believer in the Skins 3-2 record because of who they played and who they beat. I will give them the Carolina victory, but we've seen this from Carolina. Carolina will look great at home. They'll turn around and go on the road and just look like hot garbage. I look at McCaffrey. I looked at Christian McCaffrey. I like the kid as a dual threat player, but even on the ground, about 380, 390 yards he has so far this year, but 0 touchdowns. He doesn't have a rushing touchdown this year. So I didn't think he was going to explode against Washington, but I think that the division they're in will allow them to kind of hang on and be viable. And like I said, I just don't know what to think about either one of those teams. That's why I asked the question. Like I said, something's missing. I can't really put my finger on it because, like you mentioned about Minnesota, Dalvin Cook's been out. People forget last year when he got hurt, he was leading the league in rushing. That was over Le'Veon Bell. That was over Todd Gurley. That was over Zeke Elliott. Zeke was playing at the time before he decided to sit down for the 6 games for his suspension, or 4 games or whatever it was last year that Zeke sat down. But when Dalvin Cook went down with the ACL, he was leading the league in rushing. And the ACL, I'm a firm believer, it's a 2-year injury. It's a 1-year injury to get back on the field, but it's a 2-year injury to get back to who you think you can be as close to what you used to be. That's the way I look at the ACL. Tannehill, Wentz, It's going to happen with Garoppolo. It's happening right now with Dalvin Cook, because you when you come back so fast. We saw it with Jerry Rice. Remember when Jerry Rice blew his ACL on week 1 against Tampa Bay? When Warren Sapp tackled him on a reverse in the backfield, and Jerry said, "I will be back this year." Jerry got all the way back, but he hurt it again, and then at the hamstring, and then the calf. Your body tries to make up for what that side or that leg can't give him, and that's what we're seeing with Cook. His injury is basically due because his body's still trying to get you back to overcompensating for the ACL. So that's why I say, when I look at him, I just don't know what to think yet, because all I can really see is, well, they have a 500 or better record. I get it, but like the Buffalo game, when you see Minnesota lose a game like that, and then you see the other games that Buffalo plays, it's like, how did that happen at home? That's why I ask, what's up with them, and I just. I look at them and I just say, man, I just don't know. Just something's missing from those two teams. So I thought I'd just pose that question to you.
No, absolutely. Again, that's the one great thing about the NFL, and we know about it. We've talked about it before. 1 year you could be dominating can be in the next week, the next month, or the next year, you could be fighting for a playoff spot or fighting for that first spot in the NFL draft. You just never know from year to year. It truly is one sport where year to year you might think but you don't know.
My favorite way to describe it is the NFL. I won't go year to year. I go week to week. Week to week, we all know everything and don't know shit all at the same time.
Yes,
right. We all know everything from week to week. Oh, we even myself. Yourself. We're both high IQ sports guys. We judge sports pretty well, and that's why we're in the positions that we're in our life. And you're in network work, and I'm building my resume on my end and building my brand. We're both sharp guys, but from week to week, man, we just. I mean, look at college football this past week. You think you got it all figured out? Yep. And then six of the top 10 teams all lose. And some of these teams are getting blown. Or some of these teams, like Georgia, got blown off the football field by LSU.
Yeah.
So
no question.
From week to week, we know it all, man. But at the end of the day, we don't know. We don't know a damn thing.
Exactly. I always say we're always a lot smarter after the fact, aren't we?
Oh God, we're so smart on Tuesday morning. You and I tell you, boy, you and I, if they paid people off of Tuesday mornings, man, woo, I'd be so rich right now, man, if I got paid off of Tuesday. And my picks have been fine this year. I'm hovering at about 74%. You know me, I'm 85-15, so I got to get up to 85%. But right now I'm hovering around 74-75% on my weekly picks. But I've just been bad. I've just been gaffed by some of these games and some of these scores. And I'm just, I'm looking at some of these teams like Carolina. You got to do better than 17 points on the road. You don't have real injury problems. You got all your guys. You got a good defense. You got Cam Newton. You got a dual running back. You just can't go into Washington and have 7 points through 3 quarters. You just can't. I really wonder how does this stuff happen with some of these teams. I really do. You go into these games like if you're Indianapolis and you're really trying to make just a decent season. The Jets haven't been able to move the ball on anybody. You can't go into MetLife and give up 42 damn points. You just can't.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just inconceivable, man. It really, just like the Dodgers last night. Yep. And I know we're jumping around, but just like the Dodgers, you can't tie that series up at 1, okay? And then go home with a chance to go up 2-1 and get blanked. You can't have that happen. Somebody's got to put bat to ball and make something happen.
Oh yeah, well, I'll tell you what, the whole Dodgers thing we can get into another time because I could go off on the Dodgers for
I know that's your squad. That's why I did that on purpose. I did that shit on purpose. I threw that at you because I know that's your team, and we're friends and we love each other. We're brothers, but we still kind of rag on each other's teams a little bit. You know me, man. I ain't got no love for the Dodgers, bro. I think it's the funniest thing out here. Every single year, The Dodgers win their division since I've been living here. They haven't lost the division,
Yep.
and they can't cash it in. I don't get, and they have the talent. I just don't get it.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. I've told everybody that have listened to me since they won in the first round. I said they're not, even before the playoffs. I said you don't want to see Milwaukee in the playoffs. Milwaukee is as complete a team in the National League as you're gonna find, that they do everything well. And them being up 2-1 right now is not a surprise for me. The only surprise for me, honestly, VJ, is that they're not up 3-0 right now, the way that they're playing.
Really? Well, I tell you, man, Turner's home run in Game 2, and the way they played in Game 2, and even Game 1. In Game 1, they had to come back, and I'm watching the game, and I'm like, oh my God, they're gonna steal Game 1 at Miller Park, and I can't believe the Brewers are gonna give this damn game up. I thought Counsell pulled out his starter too early. I get he loves the bullpen. I understand that it is who they are. They're gonna stick, and I respect that. I respect teams in any sport who stays true to who you are. You could try to adjust from time to time. If you're Golden State, stay true to the 3, stay true to the pick and roll defense and the backdoor cuts. I get it. If you're the Yankees, stay true to your bats, stay true to hinging on to your home runs. You set a record this year. And if you're the Milwaukee Brewers, they go to their pen in the 3rd and 4th inning sometimes. They work through their pen. And that's just what they are. But Big Papi said something on preview last night that made a lot of sense to me. He said, I've always felt this way. When you use your pen like that, sooner or later, you're going to wear them out. Sooner or later. And batters get a chance to see your pen over and over and over again. It's only human nature in baseball. Sooner or later, they catch up. They catch up to what they do well, and they catch up to their pitches. And it's going to come back. It's going to come back. The series is not over. I think it's going 7. I don't think the series is over. It just kind of goes back and forth. I think you guys win today, and they tie it up at 2, and then we go. And now it's the best out of 3.
I'll tell you what, for the Dodgers to have a shot in this series, and I really mean this, they have to win the next 2 games. They have to win today with Rich Hill pitching, and tomorrow where I believe Clayton Kershaw will be pitching. If they don't win those 2 games, I don't think they have a chance. But I will say this. Regardless of who wins this series, nobody's beating the Houston Astros.
Nah.
That team is just way too good.
I tell you this. If you don't know baseball and you kind of want to start watching it just to kind of get a feel for it and how the game is played and just a kind of not starless, because they're not starless, but as far as how the way we rep celebrities and athletes and stars, a starless team. You want to watch a team, and you're not trying to just watch Judge or Trout or Harper or Puig or Kershaw and Daisy Pitt. You want to watch a team? You turn on the Houston Astros. I will 100% agree with you there. Are you working the game today?
Not tonight. I'm working. We have a Lakers show tonight. I'll be working that.
Okay.
But I'll be working the game tomorrow.
Okay.
So I'll be in studio working the game 5 tomorrow night, and then we'll see what happens from there. But I'll tell you this: all eyes in that station will be glued to Game 4 here tonight, because there's a lot of things going on, not just for the Dodgers, but also, as you well know, it's a television industry. A lot of things that change at the moment's notice, depending on what happens. So
absolutely,
lots of eyes will be on it for sure. But I'll tell you what, man, this is what the playoffs are all about. This is where you got to be able to go into and say, we're going to do this, this, and this, and be able to do it right. And right now, when you look at the Dodgers, I'll just tell you real quick. The problem with the Dodgers is they're an all or nothing team. Think back to the sluggers of the 80s and even the early 90s, the Mark McGuires. I'm talking your traditional sluggers, your Dave Kingmans, your Jack Clarks, your Mike Marshalls, guys that they either hit a ton of home runs or they struck out. That's kind of this Dodger team in a nutshell, and part of the problems that they're having at the plate. And I'll just put it to you that way. I think that's the simplest way I could do it. They only have one guy that hits for average in that whole lineup, and it's Justin Turner. Outside of that, everybody else is all or nothing.
Yeah, I was going to agree with you, man. But right now, though, isn't that kind of what baseball is? It's kind of an all or nothing game where guys are it's either the home run ball, and it goes back to, I had a conversation with two gentlemen last night. It goes back to the way sports just kind of is. Sports has just changed now. It's not coached the same anymore. Players don't practice like they used to, don't train like they used to, and it's all or nothing in everything. It's like, it's almost like football. If you look at the NFL, it's all or nothing. It's either we're going deep and we're going for the bomb, or we're gonna try to dink and dunk. The intermediate game in the NFL is gone. The intermediate game, even in the NBA. Like, I will ask anybody, name me 3 good mid-range shooters in the NBA that aren't major superstars, and you really can't do it because that portion of the game is gone. And I don't think guys learn to really work pitchers anymore. I don't think guys learn to work the count anymore. And as Dave Roberts was saying about Machado, is that you're pressing. Let the game will come to you. The game is going to allow you to make plays, and you're making it easier on pitchers by not letting them come to you. You're going after them. So you end up 0-2. Yep. You end up, 1-2 when it really should be a 3-0 count. But you're chasing. You're not allowing the game to come to you. But I think that's the way I think that's the way the players go. And, like the old saying goes, man, chicks dig the long ball.
Absolutely, but it's a line drive that'll win championships, that's for sure. Just like you said, go look at the Houston Astros and they'll show you.
Nah, you're absolutely right, bro. Well, I take a backseat to you. I think you're more of you're more of a baseball, you're more of a baseball expert than I am. I love the game. I love watching it. But you follow like 162. You follow 6 months worth of baseball. I normally dive in around the All-Star break and follow the races in August and September, because that's when it really gets good and really gets competitive. And then, of course, I watch every pitch from playoff baseball, the wild card, the play-in games, the 163, the World Series. I don't miss any of that stuff. But you're a day-to-day baseball guy, so I will always take a back step to you when it comes to baseball. Yeah, you're my guy. I go to you. And there's a friend of mine back east who's like me with fantasy football. He plays in like 5 fantasy baseball leagues every single year. And I can't even get through one. I tried one, and by the All-Star break, dude, I was like, okay, I can't do this, man. I don't know enough of the guys. And enough, guys get sat down because it's just a coach's decision not to play them. And I got them in my starting lineup for the next damn 3 days, and I don't see that. And yeah, and every year there's a new star. And you look at the kid from Milwaukee that they got from Miami, and he was good in Miami, but he wasn't an MVP candidate in Miami. And now you're looking at him this year like, oh yeah, He's the NL MVP. Mookie Betts. Mookie Betts was never talked about as the MVP, but you look this year, he's going to win the AL MVP. You got Joe. I listen to Joe Buck, man. If Joe Buck says it, then I know it's going down.
I'll put it to you this way. When Miami was having their fire sale last offseason, and everybody was talking about, Giancarlo Stanton to the Dodgers, and then it was Marcell Ozuna to the Dodgers, I kept telling people, no, the guy you want is Christian Yelich. If he becomes available, he's the guy you should go in on, because this guy can play.
Yeah.
Now, there's a lot of people where I work that said the same thing. This is the guy we want. But to the average fan, you would have been like, oh, no, it's just Christian Yelich. No. Christian Yelich can flat out play, and he's showing you in Milwaukee. He was the guy when Milwaukee got him, and then they got Lorenzo Cain on the same day. I said, wow, if they can pitch, look out for Milwaukee. And you know what? They've been able to pitch, and that's why I believe they're going to represent the National League in the World Series.
Cane's been great, man. And Cain knows what to do. He won the World Series with the Royals, so Cain knows what to do, man. Cain comes to the part. He's what they call, now I know this term, Cain's what they call a dirtbag. He's just going to show up, and he's ready to play on both sides. He's ready to play defensively, and he's ready to play at the plate, and he's ready to play on the bases. Like, you do not have to worry about that guy. They were talking about his pregame ritual, his batting practice, Where most guys are out there just trying to kill the ball. They said no. He purposely hits grounders in the hole. He purposely tries to hit loop balls into right field, center field, left field. Try to, hit line drive. Like, they say it's one of the most ugliest batting practices because you think, oh man, this guy's off today. No. He is out there purposely trying to hit these balls in these different areas because, as you just mentioned, he's just not going for the long ball. He's hitting for percentage and to get on base and to move guys along and to hit for RBIs. He's not worried about home runs.
Absolutely. When I played basketball in junior high and high school on teams, and we used to have a saying, during your warm-up line, don't practice shots you're not going to shoot during the game. Practice the shots you're going to shoot during the game. Yeah. And that's what a guy like Lorenzo King does with batting practice. He goes for the hits he's getting because he's not a home run hitter. So he tries to hit line drives. He tries to put balls in the gap where he knows that's the strength of his game. He's not going to go out there and try to hit home runs during batting practice. Why? It's not his game. It's not what he does. And too many guys are trying to worry about launch angle because, like you said, chicks love the long ball. Well, that's great. But if you want to win championships, only a few guys go for the long ball. Everybody else, just line drives, put the ball in play. So that's definitely a lost art in Major League Baseball. So nice little sidebar on the baseball talk. DJ, I got to wrap it up because I actually got to go get ready for work for this show here later tonight. So, VJ, give everyone your handle real quick, and we're going to call it a day.
Oh, man, it's very easy, man. I'm just on Instagram right now, VJ Entertainment LLC, and VJ Vernon on Twitter. But I will ask people to tune in on Spreaker.com to Edison Sports Network. I'm now working for Max Prep Sports on the side, covering high school football. I have Edison and Fountain Valley this week. I have Edison and Los Alamitos next week for playoff positioning. And then I will be calling all of John Bosco Prep's playoff games after they just thrashed Mater Dei last Friday night, which I did not see coming. But I'm very excited to be covering the number one high school team in the nation. So you guys can check me out there too.
Well, I'm going to tell you what. I have heard your broadcast, VJ. You do a fantastic job there. You guys do the job you guys do is great, but you specifically, the way you analyze, the way you're able to put your spin on everything, I absolutely love it. And I look forward to it for sure. He is the big vanilla funny, Mr. Gridiron Guru himself, VJ, right? My good buddy, man. Much love. We'll do this again next week. I'll let you know the day, and we'll go from there, man.
Always there, man. God bless you and your family. I love you, brother. I appreciate you having me on, man. Enjoy work, covering the game, and living your dream, and enjoy the rest of your week, man.
Absolutely, man. You too. You know how it is, man. Much love right back to you. And as soon as I get a little something, I'll be sending you a pic pretty soon.
No doubt, man. I'm ready.
All right. It's probably a week or two coming in, but as soon as I get it, and I think you know what I'm talking about. I haven't announced it on publicly yet, but as soon as I get it in hand, you will be the first one, the second one to get a picture. The first one before speaking my lovely wife.
Yes, sir.
All right, man. Much love. Have a good week, brother.
You too, brother. Ah, man, that's always great to do a show with my man, Luis Estrada. I want to thank everybody for tuning in, listening to VJ's on Sports Like Conduct. Today I did a little something different. I actually was a special guest on somebody else's show, but I decided to record it and run it on my own show. Run it on my channel here at Spreaker.com. I always appreciate Spreaker.com for showing me love. You guys can always find me over on Twitter at VJ Vernon, VEEJAY, VERNON. And also on Instagram, VJ Entertainment, VEEJAY, the word Entertainment, LLC, over on Instagram. Great sports talk today, great NFL stuff. We got to mostly all the topics that I wanted to touch on. It's only week 6. There's still a lot to be determined on what's going to happen with the NFL this year. But like I said earlier in that show, being a special guest on Luis Estrada's Sports House over on Blog Talk, which is on his end over there, but we were on Spreaker over here on this end. The one thing I will say, though, about the NFL is there's one constant that's always going to be there, and that is the New England Patriots because of Tom Brady. I'm going to start to kind of pull more towards the Brady side than Belichick side because Belichick is in charge of the defense. The defense is horrible. The defense gives up a lot of points. And I know they say, well, Belichick likes to live in between the 20s. He doesn't care about that. You get inside the red zone, you can't move the football. But if they're scoring on 70 and 75-yard passing plays and 40 and 55-yard passing plays, then the red zone don't mean a damn thing. If you're not stopping them from the 50 and they're just throwing bombs and got guys that outrun you and outrun your defensive backs, well, your theory of in between the red zone or in between the 20s doesn't matter. And your theory about the red zone doesn't matter either. So I think we got a little bit of what the NFL is. Still questions out there. Who are the Rams really? Defending Super Bowl champions, the Eagles. What's going on with Atlanta? Atlanta can still turn this thing around and probably get to a playoff position. But breaking news, they lose Devontae Freeman to groin surgery. So I'm not sure if that's for the year. I didn't see if he was out for the year. I didn't see if he was going on IR. I'll research that and check that out a little more a little later. And then we can always talk about the Vikings. And then you still got the Saints. That's a team we hadn't touched on today because they were on a bye, so it wasn't really nothing to talk about with the bye. We know about Drew Brees breaking the passing record. I get it. This is a different age of football. I don't want to respect the guy and respect what he's done. He's a really good dude. From what I understand, good human being. I didn't like his stance on the national anthem. I get that. We all got a different opinion or a different stance about that, just like we do everything else in life. What I will say is that they do have weapons. They can move the football. They can score. We'll see what the defense can be. The Saints are a team. We don't know what's up with the Chiefs. We know they can score a lot of points. They have the last defense, dead-ass last defense in the NFL. We'll see how that plays out for them. The Baltimore Ravens can move the football a little bit. They can run it. They can throw it to Crabtree. Flacco's not turning the ball over. They can play defense. They've been playing defense for the last 16 to 18 years, so we know what they're going to be and where they could end up and how they could play into this the end of this NFL season in the middle part. As we move into the middle portion of the season, you're going to have more teams start to have bye. The injuries are going to start to pile up. The nicks and bruises and the twists and the sprains and the strains and the tears and the brokens and all that stuff's going to start to play a major factor into the NFL and where things are going to go. We know who's on the bottom. We know the Bills aren't good. We know the Colts aren't good. We know the Raiders aren't good. And we know Cleveland's trying not to be not good. So, and then everybody else is jumbled in the middle. You got teams like Dolphins at 4-2. Like I said, they're looking to be 4-2, but they should be 5-1. That's just the way it goes. The New England game is what it is. 38-7 and 38-0 at one point. That's just what New England does when Miami goes up there. If you check the record, as long as Brady's been there, Miami is 1-15 at Foxborough. They just don't win up there. They play well. Sometimes they play hard. Sometimes they play good to the fourth quarter, third quarter, and then most times they go up there and they just get their ass blown off the field. That's just to be expected. I didn't even pick my Dolphins to win that game. I thought they would lose that game. You got teams like Chicago sitting at 3-2. Once I mentioned Minnesota and Philly, what really are they? You can't really see. Dallas, what really is Dallas? It's kind of hard to see. Jacksonville, what really is Jacksonville? Kind of hard to see. Bortles is horrible. Defense is good to great. Fournette can't stay on the field. Struggling to find a number one receiver. Don't really have a tight end. Running game is up and down. But they have the second-ranked defense in the NFL, which is going to keep you in a lot of games. If we flip over to college really fast before I wrap up here on VJs on Sportsmanlike Conduct, live on Spreaker.com. When you think about 6 top 10 teams losing, really shakes up. This is why preseason polls don't mean shit. And why they need to get rid of them. I have always been a component. You do not bring out the first polls until week 6. I don't care if the team hasn't played 6 games. But if you're going to start Labor Day weekend, and they normally start on that Thursday night or Wednesday night for some of the lower college level teams, they play games on Thursday, they play games on Friday, and then Saturday is a full slate, then they'll play a game on Sunday or 2, and then they play a game on Labor Day night. Gives everybody something to watch before you start get the kids ready to school, start school the next day. For us back on the East Coast where I grew up, I know some places in the country kids start before, but back on the East Coast in the Mid-Atlantic where I grew up, we never started school before Labor Day. School's always after Labor Day. You have your cookout, you have all your people over, last cookout of the year, last cookout of the summer. Everybody sits down and watches the college football game on that Monday night. The NFL used to start that weekend, but they moved it back to a Thursday, the first Thursday in the month, and then they start the first Sunday of the month. Even if it's not Labor Day, it's still going to be that following Sunday, so it could be the second Sunday off of Labor Day weekend. But this is why preseason polls mean absolutely nothing. And they should not have them out until week 6. Because when teams have to go on the road, or when teams have to really step up against some competition, you're going to get most teams with a loss by week 6. You're only going to have 3 or 4 teams that are undefeated by week 6. Alabama probably should be ranked number 1. You can also put, we had Georgia number 2, they have now lost. Notre Dame, I'll put them up there. Even though they've gotten out of some games, they opened up and caught Michigan's defense sleep in the first quarter and a half. Into the halftime. If you look at the second half, Notre Dame has 72 yards of total offense in the second half. Michigan was still trying to figure out their offense. They lost the game. Not a problem. They lost the game by 1 possession. But Notre Dame's had to struggle against some teams. They had to come back and beat Pitt at home. Pitt at home. This is the Pitt team who let Penn State come in there and run roughshod, put up 50-plus points in Pittsburgh. The same Pitt team that then went home and couldn't beat Michigan State. After Michigan State lost a home game to Northwestern, who almost beat Michigan the week before at home in Northwestern and Evansville. LSU goes at home and you get Georgia come in and Georgia gets wiped off the field. West Virginia goes to Iowa State. They get wiped off the field. Colorado comes to SC, which I was at the game Saturday night sitting in the student section. Almost had to check a few of their swimmers from the swimming team there that thought that I was just a regular student. They were going to be privileged and disrespect me and my wife, and I wasn't having that. And I was ready to take on 5 swimmers. Only one acted like he wanted some wreck. The rest of them saw what was really good, and they ended up leaving the game. Like, I chased 5 Division I swimmers, okay? I'm bragging about chasing swimmers away, right? I chased 5 privileged kids who thought they were going to talk to me any type of way they wanted to and show their privilege out of the Coliseum on Saturday night. Got them out of there. The whole set. People started to turn and look at me and was like, damn, dude, you chased the whole section away? Damn right. Privileged ass, disrespectful kids? You damn right. I know I look young, but I'm not young. I'm old enough to be your daddy. And you're not going to sit here and disrespect me and talk shit to me and tell people in your row, F this guy sitting behind me. Let's stand up on our chairs again so him and his wife and the people sitting behind him can't see. No, get your little punk ass down before something bad happens to you. You're not tough. You go to SC. You're on the swimming team. Okay? You're not tough. You probably have never been in a real fist fight in your life. Stop acting like you're tough. And I'm not trying to act like I'm tough either. It's about a respect thing. But anyway, long story short, I was at the game. Black Family Alumni Weekend was there. Had a great time at USC with my wife, who's a master's student there. We had a bunch of fun. Went to the game. Colorado comes in there, gets blown off the field. Wisconsin shows up to Michigan, gets blown off the field. And now you look at the rankings, and it looks like, okay, this is probably how the rankings should look. Now, most people say, well, you got what you wanted all along. Yeah, but if you don't rank teams, there's not that overly expectation. Look at the Miami Hurricanes. Blown off the field by LSU to start the year. Loses on the road to UVA. Virginia Tech beats a Florida State team to start the year. Oh, look at Virginia Tech. They look great. Blown off the field 2 of their last 3 games. But you had them ranked so high. Let it play out. Start the rankings 6 or 7 weeks after the first weekend of full college games, so we can get a clear view of who is who. And we don't overrank teams, and we don't overrate teams. Georgia's fine, people. All they have to do is win out. Bama's going to win out. They're going to play the SEC championship game. And you have a chance to beat Bama, win the SEC championship game, and be the SEC champion and be the representative in the playoff. They're fine. But to have them ranked so high all year long, the expectation was, number 2 got upset. I don't think it's an upset when you go on the road to Death Valley and play an LSU team that probably has the best defensive line in football. They have the best front 7 in college football, probably next to Michigan, who has the number 1 ranked defense in all of FBS college football defenses in the nation. And in the world, Craig. In the world. Top flight defense of the world, Craig. But to go on the road and have to face that and lose that game, I'm not sure where the upset is. LSU hasn't been beaten. They won at Auburn. They smashed the Miami team that everybody fell in love with, who had a fluke year last year. And people forget, in the Orange Bowl, Miami got their asses handed to them by Wisconsin last year. They had a Big Ten team come down there and spank that ass in the bowl game. We overrank teams with these preseason rankings, and then when they lose, it's, oh, this is shake-up Saturday, upset Saturday. It's only an upset because the number that's sitting right next to the team. That's why you call it an upset. But Georgia going into LSU to play that team and LSU winning, that's not an upset to me. Auburn losing. I'm trying to think of who else lost. I don't have the top 25 in front of me. I'm going off the dome for you guys right now. This is as pure sports talk gets right now. But bottom line, I like the way the rankings are shaped up. My Michigan Wolverines sitting at number 6. Michigan, all you gotta do is win out. Go beat Michigan State. Come back home. Go to East Lansing. Beat Michigan State. Come back home. Beat Penn State, which they're capable of doing on both sides of the ball. And then you got Minnesota and I believe Indiana. And then it sets up for the Ohio game. Bottom line, you went out, you're in the college playoff. Period. Just win the rest of your games, you're in the college playoff. And then whoever they play in the Big Ten championship game, they're going to beat them too. Because they would already have beaten Penn State. They would already have beaten Wisconsin. They would already have beaten Northwestern. They were already beating everybody they would have had to beaten to get over, to get to the conference championship game to play that team again. Notre Dame, hey, they won their games. I don't think it'll keep up. There's a loss in the slip-up coming because that's just the way their games have been going. They have been eking out wins against lower and inferior competition. That defense will keep them in games Saturday to Saturday, though. I will admit that. That defense will keep them in games, just like Michigan's defense will keep them in games. Haskins, quarterback of Ohio State, will keep them in games. McSorley at Penn State will keep them in games. Alabama's whole damn team will keep them in games. It's not over for Clemson yet either. Clemson's got a loss. They got a chance to right the ship, win out, win the conference championship, and be right back in the playoffs. Texas is up there. Oklahoma's only got one loss. Oklahoma's not out of it. You're fine. Oregon is now a staple. They can make some noise. Washington lost, and that's another so-called upset. Washington goes up to Oregon. Oregon had Stanford beat and gave that game away in overtime up there. Washington lost a close game to Auburn, an SEC team where basically it was a home game. You have the game in the Georgia Dome. You call it a neutral site, but you're bringing a team from Seattle, Washington to Atlanta to play a team that's from Alabama. It's not a neutral site when the game's in SEC country. You want to make it a true neutral site? You pick a big stadium that's in the middle. You go to Detroit, you play at Ford Field. You go to Chicago, you play at Soldier Field. You go somewhere in the Midwest and play at one of them stadiums. You go to Dallas, play in Jerry's. Well, no, that's still kind of SEC Southern territory. Hell, go play at the Cotton Bowl. This idea that these games are upsets are just laughable to me, and I think it's just for clickbait and headlines. We talked about Major League playoffs right now. The Houston Astros are pretty much the best complete team. If you want to watch baseball, you don't watch baseball often, you want to get some baseball in your life, you want to expand your sports portfolio, watch the Houston Astros. They just do it right. Milwaukee Brewers do it a little different and weird. They'll go to their bullpen in the third inning when their pitcher has a scoreless game going. It's just what they do. Yeah, the Yankees break a record with home runs this year, so that's not hard to analyze. They swing as hard as they can at every pitch. But you live by the home run, you die by the home run. You live by the 3 in basketball, you die by the 3 in basketball. And to segue that into the NBA season starting tonight, you have Philly and Boston. You have Oklahoma City with no Westbrook because of the knee operation, the drain in his knee, or the scope that he had done on his knee. And the Golden State Warriors, the defending champions, they're going to raise the banner, get their rings, all that good stuff tonight. NBA is back. And with the NBA being back, now we will have appearances from the most ignorant, mind-blowing, irrational, self-narrative writing, bullshit sports fans and all the sports, and that's NBA fans. Sports talk has been so great over the last 2 to 3 months since free agency of the NBA because we can really talk real about sports. Now we're back to false narratives. Now we're back to, I'm not a team guy. I'm a player guy. I like that guy. So your argument fits your own self-narrative and your fake sports news for your debate that you want to have at Buffalo Wild Wings or at work. But you know what? I took the NBA off the last 2 years. Anybody that listens to me knows I took the NBA off the last 2 years because I just didn't have time. Guess what, people? I'm back. I got all the time in the world for you NBA fans. And now because there's a little parity, we know Golden State's good, but Houston's good. The Spurs are the Spurs. Denver should be good this year. Everybody got the Lakers being a 2 or 3 seed, right? That's what LeBron's going to do with this young crew. So I don't want to hear no shit. And my valid and very proud LeBron hating is back. Because I don't like him as a basketball player. Never have. I don't like the Lakers. Never have. I was a Kobe guy. But I don't like the Lakers. My team is the Pistons. I'm not a players guy. I'm a team guy. I like my squad. Players come and go. Your team's going to be in that city for 50 to 60 years. Players come and go. I'm sport first, team second, player last. That's how I rank sports in the top 3. And I can't wait for this shit show in LA to go down. I cannot wait. And I want to give it over under 2 years before everybody turns on Magic Johnson to excuse LeBron James. How everybody will turn on Stevenson and Beasley and Rondo and Lonzo and Caldwell Pope and JaVale McGee. Because you love them now. Oh, these are good pieces. These are nice, good pieces. These are dogs. This is what he needs. Last year they made the trade in midseason in Cleveland. Oh, yeah, this is what he needs. These young guys, he can't win with those old guys. He gets some young pieces in. They're young, they're athletic, they're better scorers, they're better shooters. No, they're not. No, they're not. And I told people all off season and last year, you're not getting Paul George. You're not getting Kawhi Leonard. When DeMarcus Cousins' name came up, and I'm not a DeMarcus fan, I've said it many times before, you do not want this guy in your locker room. You just don't. If there's one team that could probably handle him, it's going to be Golden State. You just don't want this guy in your locker room. Oh, well, he did well in New Orleans. He was in New Orleans for a cup of coffee and a bag of Doritos, okay? That's how long he was there. Another time to drink a cup of coffee and have a bag of Cool Ranch Doritos because I like Cool Ranch Doritos. When I go to Taco Bell and I get the Doritos tacos, I get the Cool Ranch Dorito taco. Nobody wants to be LeBron's blame game in their prime. Trust me on this. You guys got your sights set on Anthony Davis, and now it's Klay Thompson. Guys in their prime, they're smartening up. If you go play with LeBron and you don't win, it'll be your fault. It will hurt your brand. It will hurt the way NBA players see you. Kevin Love will be back to 23-12 this year. 24-12. Mark it down. Mark it down. But for the last 2 to 3 years, we shitting on Kevin Love. Like Kevin Love wasn't 27-15 the year before he got shipped to Cleveland. Watch him go right back to what he was. But every time they lost, we blame Kevin Love. Kyrie Irving saw the writing on the wall, got my chip, dropped 29-8 in the finals for you, and hit the game-winning shot in Game 7. Thanks, bro. I'm out. Why would you want to leave LeBron? Why would you want to? He showed you. I'm not about to have my brand hurt, so his brand builds bigger. Call it hate, I don't care. I'm going to get a t-shirt that says, I am a happy and proud, but very valid LeBron hater. I am. I'm owning it again. I'm back. I gave y'all 2 years to get your skills up. And here I come. You better have gotten sharp. It better not be the same shit that I was hearing 2 or 3 years ago. It better be better. I'm reasserting myself back into this industry. I took about a year off. I did some spot shows, but I lost my love. I did. I lost my smile for sports talk. I really did. And that was due to not following advice that I should have been following that someone gave me. Someone in the industry told me, don't watch too much sports talk TV. Don't watch too much sport. Don't listen to too much sports talk radio. It will start to crowd and cloud your convictions, the way you think, and when you hear a lot of stuff you don't like and the way the industry's going, it will make you lose your love. And he was right. He was so right. So right. I don't watch anything. I watch Around the Horn, and that's about it in PTI. I don't watch Undisputed. I don't watch First Take. I don't watch Speak for Yourself. I don't watch The Jump. I don't watch Get Up. I do not watch any of it. To me, it is all self-narrative, self-clickbait, self-motivated bullshit sports talk and debate. All of it. That's not the same thing as the talent. That's not the same thing as the networks. Just the way I view sports talk. Can we get back to talking about the game itself and teams and not a player who was at this spot on Wednesday night or this player don't have no help? And let's get away from that crap. At the end of the day, who won? Why'd they win? Talk about teams. Talk about the game. Let's get sports talk back to the purity. And that's what I want to do. I'm back. I know I said that before. I did. Because I felt like I was, but I knew my smile wasn't there. People that listen to me know you can hear it in my voice. VJ's smile is back. It's back. My smile is back. And I'm ready. So I'm ready for the NBA season to start. I'm actually excited for the NBA season because now I can watch two conferences where, like I said, there's some parity. The Eastern Conference now is wide open. Oh, yeah, because LeBron left. Good. Take your ass on. You knew what he was doing. Let me go to LA. Let me do his Hollywood time. He was just on stage with Drake. You got a season that's about to start. If that was any other like major star that we didn't like, we'd be like, oh, this is where his mind is. He's not ready for the year. He's not focused on the year. But because LeBron, it's the greatest thing that happened over the weekend. LeBron was on stage with Drake. Two overrated, self-writing narrative millennials. I like to call them elitists, where if you say anything about them, oh, you're hating. Mike Epps said that on a radio interview about Kevin Hart. I can't say now about Kevin Hart because I'm jealous. Now I'm jealous. I'm not allowed to have an opinion. I can't stand that in sports. It's opinions, man. That's fine. We all got opinions. My opinion isn't always right. I get it. You don't always agree with me. I get it. That's why I'm 85-15. Never once have I told people I'm 100%. 85-15 though. Go check the records. Check my record. Y'all better put some spec on my name. Put some spec on it. College basketball starts soon. My beloved North Carolina Tar Heels will be in the mix again for an Elite Eight Final Four appearance this year. Luke May is going to be an All-American. Got shooters, got rebounders, brought back all of our talent. Lost two seniors. You're going to lose seniors, but guys got to step up and step in. Once again, preseason polls in college basketball. Bullshit. You're doing it all for these freshmen coming in. Man, let me tell you something about Duke. Listen up, Dukies. You're going home in the second round. You're no better than the Sweet 16 team. Coach K's already proved he can't coach freshmen. He can't coach freshmen. These guys aren't going to win nothing. They're going to do a lot of dunks, get a lot of highlights, get a lot of hype and praise, lose in the second round of the Sweet 16, and take their ass to the NBA, and he'll be left cheating again. I'm telling you, it's going to break when he retires and leave. One day somebody going to say, yeah, man, he was paying to get all them McDonald's kids at that time. You know Coach K don't go after McDonald's kids like that. Top 10 Jordan Brand kids like that. You getting 2 and 3 a year? That's Calipari shit. Everybody says Calipari cheating. No, why isn't that Coach K cheating? College basketball is going to be good this year. Michigan State's going to be very good. UCLA is going to be very good. Arizona's going to be very good. North Carolina's going to be very good. Duke's going to be very good. The ACC is going to be the ACC. The Big 12 is going to be, Big 12, Kansas is going to be very good. Baylor's going to be good this year. Oregon's going to be good this year. Sidebar, Oregon, the only team to have women and men's preseason ranked top 10. I think in history. I'd have to double check that, but I believe that's in history. If not history, like the last 50, 60 years. NHL hockey has started. My Rangers are 1-4. This is a transition period for them. New coach, working these young guys in while trying to figure out what to do with the old guys to move them on. This is not a playoff year. New York Ranger fans, we're not going to the playoffs. Don't expect it. It's not happening. Not this year. Already 1-4. They lose tonight. They'll drop to 1-5. Normally 1-5 in hockey. Can't score a lot. Don't have the team speed going. That's just pretty much who you are, and that's what your season's going to be. So a lot going on in sports. A lot coming up. You guys are going to hear a lot more coming from me. VJ's on Sports Like Conduct TV show is going to be back on the air out here in LA. I'm working out the last minute, logistics for the TV show to be on Santa Clarita Valley Television Network. I'll be doing my Sports Talk TV show. We'll be back on radio more. Catch me on Max Press Sports calling football games for Edison High School out here in Huntington Beach. I'll be calling for John Bosco Prep, #1 ranked school in the nation. I did Thousand Oaks out here. They have the #1 kid in the nation, along with Zach Chabernet, who's the running back, who's going to Michigan next year. High school kid, 6'2", 220 already, running back. Reminds me of Eddie George. When I saw Eddie George as a youngster, Eddie George came out of VMI, which is a military school, Fork Union, which is a military high school in Virginia. Same kind of running style, same kind of power, same kind of explosiveness and toughness. Protects the ball, catches the ball out of the backfield well. Good football player. Had the pleasure of calling their games. You guys can check me out doing my thing. This Thursday, I'll be calling Edison versus Fountain Valley at Costa Mesa College. 7 p.m. on the Edison Sports Network on Spreaker.com, which you'll listen to me live right now on. And then also next week against Los Alamitos. And then I'll be taking over the John Bosco Prep games, the playoff games, because they expect John Bosco Prep to go really far. And hopefully I get all 4 games in and they go win the state championship. I would love to be able to watch the #1 ranked school in the nation do that this year and cover these D1 players. They got like 9 kids committed to D1. These guys are good. And they play Modern Day, who's the #2 ranked school in the state of California, and they mopped them off the field Friday night. So they are legit. I thank everybody for tuning in and listening. You guys know how to get at me, man. No big send-off today. God bless. Get on your knees and pray and ask God for your dreams and to manifest them into reality. Never hope on anything. Hope is a lost form art of progress. There's no such thing as hope. Hope is a white girl from the suburbs of the trailer park. That's who hope is. It's a little comedy for you guys, man. Also, check out my YouTube page, VJ Comedy. I'm out, man. God bless. I'll check you guys. Thanks for listening. See you around, guys.